Chapter 2982. Shameless Boasting. Just the two of you, and you want to call yourselves kings in front of the Chaos Territory? At the same time, the rest of the Chaos Territory attacked together with him, and they were all elites. With Xiao Tianquan's strength, he could only be ranked below average. When these people attacked together, they immediately turned into a dozen streams of light in the void, looking like meteors. He snorted coldly and said, "I don't need two people to deal with you. I alone am enough. I, Qi Xinghai, have never seen such an arrogant piece of trash like you. I won't give you the chance to crush your nameplate." He felt like he had been greatly humiliated. The rest of the Chaos Territory also burst out in laughter. "It's you guys, so weak that you can't see through others' attacks." Knight Soro's voice came from behind them. It was just that his movement technique was too strong, leaving behind an afterimage in the void that they couldn't see through. Knight Soro, who had already reached the back of the Chaos Territory's people, suddenly fired a shot before they could finish their attack. In comparison, Knight Soro's attack was like the sun exploding in the void. Other than Qi Xinghai, who staggered his feet, the rest of the Chaos Territory who were hit by the attack lost their ability to fight. Now you know who overestimated themselves. Crush your nameplate. He knew that this attack was enough. Because Knight Soro had shocked him too much. With such strength, he could definitely be ranked in the top 20 in this battle for Providence. No one is an eternal king, but if you never have the heart to challenge, you don't have the right to become a strong person. All right, our Chaos Territory asked for it. Everyone, let's go. Now that the battle has reached this point, we can leave. Before he crushed his nameplate, he suddenly sent a voice transmission to Knight Soro. "Be careful of Supreme Yuling. If not for her, I wouldn't have attacked just now. I'm saying this to repay you for sparing my life." The difference in strength between the two sides was just too great. Knight Soro heard Qi Xinghai's words and immediately asked in confusion, "It seems that Paragon Yuling has been the one sending people to deal with our territories. He should be able to see all of our actions from outside. No wonder our concealment formation is useless." He sent a voice transmission to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, asking, "Will there be an image stone in that palace?" The chaotic heavenly crystal beast replied without hesitation, "They definitely don't deserve it with just these people, but it's absolutely impossible for you to go against the entire Chaos Territory." Good. This king is going to rest." Then, Knight Soro sped up to search for the Supreme Wolf King and the people in the Dao World's territory. Dao Wui, who was in the Dao World's territory, could not help but swallow his saliva. Although Knight Soro had just made a simple attack, it was still a huge blow. Knight Soro's rate of improvement terrified him. "I don't need you to tell me that. I have already ordered everyone in the Dao World to attack him. If this drags on any longer, the consequences will be unimaginable. Tell them Knight Soro's location and the strength he displayed." What? Knight Soro has actually become so strong? When Knight Soro had said on the square that he would definitely have a battle with Fairy Yuyan, he had thought that Knight Soro was arrogant and did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Clan M. Chapter 2983. He might be more powerful than we imagined. Everyone in the Chaos Territory was killed by him in one move. Based on Supreme Yuling's words, he could deduce that Knight Soro was not inferior to him. As for what his upper limit was, he could not deduce it at all. If Dao Tianming and the others were all killed by Knight Soro, he would not be able to do anything even if he advanced to the final battle for the championship. Dao Tianming was terrified when he heard Dao Jun's words. After the battle, he would definitely be taken care of. After Dao Tianming finished speaking, Dao Jun's eyes lit up. "Good. The fact that you have this idea proves that you're a meticulous leader. I'm optimistic about your future development. However, you don't have to go out and lure the Supreme Wolf King out. You just have to wait. Knight Soro and the Supreme Wolf King will encounter each other very soon." Yes, Lord Yuling. Because they wanted to make a difference in the final battle for the championship, the Dao World territory paid attention to the issue of manpower consumption. After communicating with Supreme Yuling, Dao Jun ordered, "Everyone, refine at least 3 divine talismans. As long as we attack, we won't leave him any leeway." The Dao World territory was prepared to fight Night Sorrow like a paragon. At the moment, the Supreme Wolf King was completely crazy and its strength was still at the upper paragon level. The Supreme Wolf King's attacks were no longer like before with absolute arts or other things. They were all unstructured attacks. Night Sorrow, who was facing it, was aware that someone was paying attention to him and had been holding back. Why is the Supreme Wolf King more powerful than the 31? Is he much stronger than the Small World's Paragon? Could this be Heaven's will? I'm not sure why this happened, but it's good that this is the case. The Supreme Wolf King will most likely be of great help to us. The strength Night Sorrow displayed now was not inferior to the strength he had displayed during the battle with the Chaos Territory's people. Then, under Night Sorrow's control, the battle looked even more tragic. In the end, he was completely fighting with the Supreme Wolf King. He had obtained the reward of guarding this small world, but he looked like he was at his last breath. At the sight of this, Supreme Yuling snickered coldly. She then sent a voice transmission to Dao Jun. "Night Sorrow is already severely injured. You guys attack immediately." Dao Jun replied to Yuling and ordered, "Night Sorrow is severely injured. Follow me and kill our way out." After everyone in the Dao world responded, they followed Dao Jun and rushed toward where Night Sorrow was. After meeting Night Sorrow, Dao Jun sneered. Night Sorrow looked at the people in the Dao world's territory and said coldly. Dao Jun said as he took out 3 supreme artifacts. Relying on the control of his divine sense, he attacked Night Sorrow. Dao Tianming and the others immediately threw divine talismans and divine weapons at Night Sorrow. One person actually has 3 supreme artifacts. The people in the top 30 are indeed not to be underestimated. Using the Void Transition skill, he easily dodged the attacks, causing them to land in the boundless void. After these 3 supreme artifacts attacked, they immediately locked onto his aura and chased after him ferociously. When everyone in the spatial grotto heaven saw Night Sorrow face so many people in the Dao world's territory alone, they all felt worried for Night Sorrow. As for the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, it was ready to attack. Although it was not very bold, it did not want Night Sorrow to die so quickly. "Everyone, don't worry. I have the ability to fight with the Dao world's territory and lead everyone to the top 10. However, Night Sorrow could naturally guess their thoughts. After comforting them, he completely rushed into the group of Dao world's territory sovereigns. Clan M. Chapter 2984. Brothers, Night Sorrow is not injured at all. This means that his strength completely surpasses the Supreme Wolf King's. He's stronger than we thought. Everyone, be extremely careful." Dao Jun immediately reminded them and controlled the 3 supreme divine weapons to resist Night Sorrow's attack. Although there were many rulers in the Dao world, when Night Sorrow executed the Void Transition technique, no one could attack him except for Dao Jun and Dao Tianming. While resisting Dao Jun and Dao Tianming, Night Sorrow did not attack the other rulers. Very soon, he killed more than 10 cultivators directly. When they saw their subordinates being killed by Night Sorrow one by one, they did not even have the chance to crush their identity nameplates. Facing Night Sorrow, he executed his strongest mystic technique. This move was executed by using the 3 supreme divine weapons and a secret treasure on him. On the ground of this world was a huge 8 trigrams diagram. The void was filled with yellow talismans that were originally floating aimlessly. For a moment, Night Sorrow was restrained by countless talismans and could barely resist these attacks. When he saw Night Sorrow being defeated by him, in the Dao world, Dao Jun's face immediately revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. "Leader, we'll do our best to kill him and not give him a chance to make a comeback." After Dao Tianming made a move, the other people in the Dao world also executed this kind of ultimate skill and mystic technique and attacked Night Sorrow ferociously. This time, not only were the people in the Dao world attacking, but he was also suppressed and attacked by the Tao world's heaven and earth. Night Sorrow, what should we do? Do you need our help? Murong also said, Brother Yi, let us out. We could be of some use. At that moment, Night Sorrow said in a low voice, Everyone is making a fearless sacrifice by coming out rashly. I can handle it myself. Since Night Sorrow did not let everyone out, Xiao Tianxian continued. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast is one of our trump cards in the championship battle. Now is not the time for it to appear. Everyone don't worry. Although I'm in a sorry state, their formation shouldn't last for long. I will persevere. At that moment, he was in the Tao world's heaven and earth, and basically did not have the ability to break the array. He had been passively taking a beating. This was also an important reason why Night Sorrow had not let the chaotic heavenly crystal beast come out to fight. He wanted to use his own ability to persist until the Tao world's heaven and earth collapsed. Dao Jun, who was controlling the formation, had exhausted a lot of his divine energy. He could not attack at all, so he shouted anxiously, Leader, we are already attacking with all our might. If this kind of attack can't kill it, there's nothing we can do. After Night Sorrow had been trapped, she and the cultivators of the other Tao world territories had launched their most ferocious attacks. At this point in the battle, their confidence had suffered a great blow. They felt that Night Sorrow was like an invincible sovereign. Bastard, he's already trapped. What are you afraid of? Give it your all. Give it your all. Ignite his bloodline. If I can't burn my bloodline, then I'll burn my life force. I must kill him quickly. However, even if Dao Jun was anxious, they could not unleash a more powerful attack. At that moment, Supreme Yu Ling and the others who were watching looked at each other. Don't worry. I'll do my best to kill him. It's completely impossible for the divine world territories to rise. Although Yishang had displayed great strength in the image and had the strength of a supreme being, Yishang was still very strong. Therefore, his strength was much stronger than the Supreme Wolf King's. Clan M. Chapter 2985. Supremacy White Bone, don't worry. If you attack Night Sorrow and encounter any accidents, we'll take care of the Bone Realm. Dao Jun, it looks like your world won't last for long. Although he was battered and exhausted from the bombardment, he was still not in danger. Although his attack still could not shake the Tao world's heaven and earth, the surrounding talismans were getting weaker and weaker. Upon realizing that Night Sorrow was about to break out of the realm, Dao Jun's face was full of unwillingness. Enter and perish together? Do you mean to send people into the Tao world and self-destruct? The self-destruction of a ruler was indeed not much of a threat to Night Sorrow, but it was completely different if 20 to 30 rulers self-destructed. Yes, leader, that's what Tianming means. He's willing to take the lead. The Tao world's territory cannot be in the hands of Night Sorrow. Good. Deputy Leader Tianming is willing to sacrifice himself to achieve the Tao world's territory. This kind of boldness is worth learning from. Who else is willing to sacrifice themselves? Leader, Dao Tianxia is willing. Instigated by these people, all the cultivators in the Tao world's territory expressed their willingness to sacrifice themselves. At that moment, the Tao world's heaven and earth was already very unstable and could not last long. Dao Jun instigated all the rulers present and immediately ordered them to launch a suicidal attack. After Dao Jun gave the order, the remaining 20-odd cultivators in the Tao world's territory immediately poured into the Tao world's heaven and earth. Upon seeing so many cultivators pouring into the Tao world's territory, Night Sorrow immediately had an ominous premonition. After one of the cultivators finished speaking, he roared, "Everyone attack! Don't give him any chance." Xiao Tianxian, who was in the spatial grotto heaven, immediately realized what was about to happen when he saw the people in the Tao world's territory behave like that. At that moment, Night Sorrow naturally saw what the people in the Tao world's territory were preparing to do. He could only raise his strength to the strongest state and prepare for defense. Before Night Sorrow was completely prepared, the cultivators in the Tao world's territory started to self-destruct. They were too close, so Night Sorrow could not avoid them at all. He could only choose to take them head-on. There were green mountains and clear waters. This group of brats from the Tao world is really ruthless. The decisiveness of the Tao world's rulers surprised even an Eternal Supreme Realm expert like him. Dao Wui, who saw the scene before him, sighed with a gloomy expression. He felt that this kind of sacrifice was too inappropriate. We've already sacrificed ourselves. Let's hope we can kill him, Dao Wui said unhappily. What appeared were two figures. It was Dao Jun and Dao Tianming. It hadn't been affected by the self-detonation of the sovereigns. Dao Jun, who had suffered a serious backlash from the array formation, looked at the Tao world's heaven and earth. There's no longer any trace of his aura in the void. He's probably dead. I didn't expect that we would have to sacrifice so many people to kill him. It's good that he's dead. We still defended the honor of the Tao world's territory, but we paid a bigger price. After Supreme Yuling's reminder, he felt that Night Sorrow was like a mountain pressing down on him. Something's not right. Logically speaking, if we killed Night Sorrow, we would get first place in our group and be teleported out of the pocket dimension. Could someone in the Divine World's territory be hiding in other areas? Let me ask. Chapter 2986. I don't know what's going on either. In the entire small world, there is indeed no one else besides you. Logically speaking, since the Tao world has already taken the top spot in this small world, you should have been teleported out immediately. After carefully checking every area, he did not find anyone from the Divine World or cultivators from other territories. After replying to Dao Jun, he shared his doubts with the others. I've thought of that as well, but that sealed place is too far away from the place where they fought. How did he manage to enter the sealed area directly from the place where the battle took place? It was not that he had not thought about it like Dao Wui, but after considering the details, he felt that it did not make sense. Everyone discussed for a while and made a few speculations. Yes, Lord Yuling. At that moment, Night Sorrow was indeed in the underground palace. This was the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's life-saving mystic technique, which he had not wanted to expose. Now that the people from the Tao world have basically self-destructed, we should be in the bag for the first place in this group. Yes, our Divine World territory used to lack resources, but what we lack now is time. We can cultivate here for a few decades before going out. Then, Night Sorrow released everyone from the Divine World territory. At that moment, Wu Lingfei said, if Dao Jun and the others find someone and we are forced to kill them, we might be teleported out of this small world. Why don't we set up a concealment Dharma array to avoid the possibility of encountering them? After saying that, Night Sorrow started setting up a concealment Dharma array. Now, Dao Jun and the others had become pawns to delay this battle. They didn't want to kill them so quickly. Before long, Dao Jun led Dao Tianming and appeared in the underground palace. That's strange. There's no one on the ground or in the underground palace. Could there be someone hiding somewhere we can't see? I'm not sure if Night Sorrow has been killed. Things had developed to this point, which was somewhat beyond his imagination. With the sealing of the evil demon land as a precedent, he could no longer determine if Night Sorrow and the others from the Divine World territory were still alive. What should we do? If only Night Sorrow is hiding, we can let Dao Jun and Dao Tianming come out. Let the White Bones Sovereign kill him. However, if there are other territories hidden in the small world, the sacrifice of the Tao world's territory would be a loss. This matter had already developed to a confusing state, and he was unable to make a good judgment. After discussing for a while, they decided that it would be better for Dao Jun and Dao Tianming to continue searching in the small world. In the small world in front of them, they could no longer see the battle. Only then did the Supremes focus their attention on the battles in the other 31 small worlds. As for the Jiuxian estate, the Tian Shao estate, the Immortal Extinction estate, and the Life Extension estate, the 4 Great Saint lands, they had all emerged as the first place in the group. Fairy Wei-Yin and the other super experts did not make a move personally. From the beginning to the end, they only played the role of holding the line. Dao Jun and Dao Tianming still couldn't find anyone in the small world. Taking everything into account, there were less than 5 small worlds left where the battle had not ended. All right, Dao Jun will follow Lord Yu Ling's orders. After receiving Yu Ling's message, the two of them crushed their identity badges and left the small world. However, after Dao Jun and Dao Tianming left the small world, the 16th small world did not send anyone out. At the moment, there were at least people from 2 territories in the small world. This result made Dao Jun and Dao Tianming completely dumbfounded. At the same time, they were also guessing who else was in the 16th small world. Clan M. Chapter 2987. However, even Supreme Yu Ling and Dao Wui couldn't figure it out. How could they deduce the result? Thus, Dao Jun sent a voice transmission to Dao Wui and asked, Lord Wui, who else is in the small world? Are there people from the 2 territories or more? Dao Wui said angrily before adding, this time, the Dao world's territory could be said to have set the most humiliating record in recent years. Moreover, only you and Dao Tianming survived. Both of you prepare to be punished. Dao Jun explained word by word. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been ranked 3rd and allowed a hidden territory to succeed. Dao Wui said disdainfully. Then, he ignored Dao Jun and started to discuss countermeasures with Supreme Yu Ling. On the other side, there were other people restraining them. After spending the 98th year in the small world, Night Sorrow successfully advanced to the middle-level sovereign realm. At the moment, the other people in the Divine World territory didn't change in their realms. However, after decades of cultivation, they had basically reached the peak of their realms. During the battle back then, she hadn't been able to help Night Sorrow and hadn't been satisfied with her strength. Thus, she had been absorbing resources to cultivate. Everyone in the Divine World territory was doing well. Night Sorrow immediately asked about the Myriad Sword Sect situation. He still hasn't woken up, but his body has recovered. It looks like his soul was severely injured. I'm not sure how to treat it. Shout Tianxian sighed. Let me see. He's been like this for the past few decades. Brother Wan can still be saved. As long as we break the thing binding his spirit C, he'll wake up and recover his combat strength. At the moment, he was a living dead. Instead, it was because his deity ocean had been sealed by someone, and the power of his deity soul was completely bound within it. He was unable to use it at all. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yuan Fengxue heaved a sigh of relief. I'll try and see if I can get rid of the thing binding his spirit C. He attacked the strange energy binding the Myriad Sword Sect's spirit C. It's the Earth's supremacy energy binding Brother Wan's spirit C. It's very strong and solid. I can't get rid of it. We need a stronger cultivator to do it, or we can rely on some secret techniques to save him. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone in the Divine World territory fell silent. I have a way to bring him here. Do you have a way? Tell me, what should I do? Doing so requires taking a risk. I wonder if you are willing to bear the consequences? Tell me, what exactly do you need to do? Night Sorrow did not answer the chaotic heavenly crystal beast question directly. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast continued. My condition for helping you is that you give me the earthly sovereign energy. Think about it. It was impossible for Night Sorrow not to desire earthly sovereign energy. However, compared to saving the Myriad Sword Sect, he felt that it was nothing. Good. Then let's begin immediately. The earthly sovereign energy that bound his spirit C was not inferior to the energy contained in the evil demon sword. Anything could happen. If something happens to your friend, don't blame me. I don't blame you. After getting the answer it wanted, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately unleashed the chaotic space and sucked the Myriad Sword Sect and Night Sorrow into it at the same time. Good. I will do my best. M. Chapter 2988. After Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast launched their attack, the Myriad Sword Master's body immediately shook. What surprised Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was that this earthly sovereign energy clearly had its own consciousness. He asked doubtfully, "Did you feel it? This earthly sovereign energy seems to have its own consciousness." The chaotic heavenly crystal beast responded as it felt the resentment of the energy. Yishang said as he continued to use the power of his soul to attack the energy. Suddenly, he transmitted his voice. "You are delusional to think that you can seize my body. You're courting death. Today, I'll make both of your souls scatter." This earthly sovereign energy was actually threatening Yishang, and he immediately responded angrily. The earthly sovereign's divine spirit said disdainfully. Hearing this, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "Then let's see if a remnant soul like you can withstand our attack." Compared to his peak, the difference in strength was tens of thousands of times. When Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast launched an even fiercer attack, the earthly sovereign's remnant soul immediately attacked them crazily. It unleashed all its remaining strength. When the earthly sovereign's remnant soul launched a crazy counterattack, Night Sorrow immediately reminded the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, "What? Both of you ants have mastered a certain amount of earthly sovereign laws. How is that possible?" He didn't expect that the sovereign Night Sorrow and the sovereign chaotic heavenly crystal beast would both master a certain amount of earthly sovereign laws. "You'll suffer the most terrifying backlash for plotting against my friend's body. Die." It was no match for Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast at all. Not long after, the earthly sovereign's remnant soul was almost shattered. "Okay, we'll spare you this time." To it, breaking through to the earthly sovereign level was its only goal. When it heard the earthly sovereign's remnant soul say so, it was immediately moved. Night Sorrow immediately berated, "Don't listen to him. He's just a remnant soul that can't be any more damaged. How much can he know? Destroy him. Leave my friend's body before you say that." He felt that if he relented now, the other party would immediately take over Master Wan Jian's body. This way, he could ensure that Master Wan Jian would not be harmed in any way. It was the best choice. In the history of the Eternal Supreme World, the first person to become an Earth Supreme was the Supreme Longevity. And judging from the actions of the remnant soul in front of him, he felt that it was impossible for it to be the Supreme Longevity. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, the earthly sovereign's remnant soul responded and obediently left the Myriad Sword's sex body, floating in the air as a soul. After the earthly sovereign's remnant soul left Master Wan Jianzong's body, Night Sorrow immediately put Master Wan Jianzong's body into the spatial hollow and asked him about it. As for what the other party could say, he didn't really care. The remnant soul said its name. Night Sorrow was unfamiliar with the name Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign. "Many people have never heard of my name. However, I'm sure you've heard of Supreme Longevity, right?" "Supreme Longevity? Have you heard of Supreme Longevity?" Of course, he had heard of this name, and he was in awe of it. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign continued. "At that time, I was just a ray of heaven and earth sword aura in the supreme space. I happened to meet Supreme Longevity's godly soul, who was about to dissipate, and I learned the secret of becoming an earthly sovereign from him. Then, I went to the place that he mentioned to cultivate, and there I successfully became an earthly sovereign. However, after I became an earthly sovereign, I had just killed 2 of his enemies when I was surrounded and killed by many other earthly sovereigns who had just become earthly sovereigns." Night Sorrow asked, puzzled. He didn't believe that the people from the other territories would be kind enough to leave a remnant soul for him. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign's remnant soul continued to explain, "That was because one of the earthly sovereigns thought that my evil demon sword was pretty good, so he didn't destroy it. He refined the evil demon sword and gave it to his grandson." Clan M. Chapter 2989. The remnant of my soul that I left in the evil demon sword when I was alive was left behind. After the grandson of the earthly sovereign had obtained the evil demon sword, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds, and he had gained the attention of the entire territory. His grandfather did not have the heart to directly kill him. Thus, he had suppressed him in the underground palace. From then on, the remnant of evil sword, earthly sovereign soul, and the sword spirit of the evil demon sword had regained control of the evil demon sword. He had summoned the Myriad sword sect to help him remove the loosened seal. If what you said is true, then you are a disgrace to the supreme longevity. Even if the supreme longevity needed to be reborn, it would not do that to ordinary people. It would cause unnecessary killings. The secret to becoming an earthly sovereign lies at the end of the eternal sovereign world, which is the foggy area. You can obtain natural, earthly, sovereign rules in essence there. Foggy area? I've never heard of it. No. Upon hearing this, the remnant of evil sword, earthly sovereign soul was speechless. The two of you have never heard of it? Are you really from the eternal sovereign world? Night Sorrow replied, then asked the others in the space hollow, have you heard of the foggy area at the end of the eternal sovereign world? Morong Zilu and the others answered one after another. After the remnant of evil sword, earthly sovereign soul said that, he asked doubtfully, could it be? That area has been hidden by someone. Night Sorrow had cultivated the power of merit, so he could tell that the remnant of evil sword, earthly sovereign soul was not lying. Hence, he continued to ask. The remnant of evil sword, earthly sovereign's soul told him what had happened to him in the foggy area. If what he had said was true, then the territories that were ranked at the top should have already left the foggy area. As for the people from the realm of the gods and other territories, unless they could find that area, it would be difficult for them to become earthly sovereigns. Night Sorrow made some deductions, but he did not come to any conclusion. Night Sorrow continued to ask, back then, you were able to hide a remnant of your soul in the evil demon's sword right under the nose of an earthly sovereign. You should know a very advanced concealment technique, right? Teach it to me, and I will teach you a secret technique to strengthen your spiritual soul. I will let you recover. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, evil sword, earthly sovereign's remnant soul immediately became excited. Night Sorrow said slowly, evil sword, earthly sovereign's remnant soul asked in confusion when Night Sorrow mentioned the name of the realm of the gods. So you're all from the celestial realm. If I'd known, I wouldn't have attacked the Myriad sword sect. Isn't that letting down supreme longevity? Since it didn't result in a big mistake, then forget it. Soon, he and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast learned the concealment technique. Night Sorrow summoned everyone from the god world. But there are so many earthly sovereigns and earthly sovereigns outside. Can you hide them? Xiao Tianxian asked doubtfully. Don't worry, I've already learned a concealment technique that contains the earthly sovereign rules. Even an earthly sovereign might not be able to detect me. If we hide here, we shouldn't be discovered. But other people's memories might be found to be problematic. Don't worry, those Supremes and Earth Supremes were extremely arrogant. He wouldn't do such a thing to a hegemon. In their eyes, those below the Supremes are ants. He knew that in the eyes of Yu Ling and the others, the hegemons of the realm of the gods could not hide any secrets. All right, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast replied. What? Recognize you as my master? No, that's absolutely not possible. Don't worry, I'll make a heavenly oath. Clan. Chapter 2990. I can temporarily recognize you as my master, but you have to give me some benefits, right? After knowing the chaotic heavenly crystal beast for a long time, Night Sorrow realized that this fellow was not as fierce as he looked. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said, if we can deceive everyone and enter the finals, I'll give you half of my reward. We'll be considered partners. What do you think? The chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately agreed and said, don't worry. If I can fight, I'll definitely do my best. After saying that, Night Sorrow stopped talking and waited for the teleportation to begin. The people in the Divine World territory still did not know who was left. We've already killed so many people in the Tao World territory. They shouldn't have many points left, so there's nothing to be afraid of. As for the people in the remaining territories, it's really hard to say. There must be someone with a super powerful concealment technique who has been hiding since entering the small world and hasn't made a move since the beginning. That should be the case. The hidden territories definitely don't have as many points as us. The Dao World territory definitely doesn't have any either. As for the final result, let's wait and see. Before Night Sorrow went into hiding, he had told him that the Divine World territory's points would definitely be the first in this small world. Upon realizing that Night Sorrow was no longer in the team, Supreme Yuling said with a smile, "It seems that Night Sorrow has already been killed by self-destruction. That's why the rest of the people in the Divine World territory have been hiding." Dao Wui said unwillingly, "Dao Wui, you're too much. We won't scare a Divine World territory to this extent. If Night Sorrow wasn't hiding in someone's space grotto heaven, we wouldn't have to target these small fries at all. Even if we let them enter the finals, they'll still end up dying in battle." To him, the remaining people in the Divine World territory were completely ants among ants. Dao Wui said unhappily. Then he continued, "I wonder who else is left here." Supreme Yuling comforted him. The two of them waited peacefully with the rest of his self-esteem for 100 years. Under everyone's gazes, the remaining cultivators in the 16 small world were teleported out one after another. As it turned out, Blue Heart had also been assigned to the 16 small world. However, she had been lucky enough to find a concealment array formation when she entered the small world. She had hidden herself within it, and not only had she obtained some fortuitous opportunities, she had also managed to survive until the end. When Dao Jun saw Lan Xian, he was filled with anger. Dao Jun looked at the people from the heavenly realm with hatred. When he realized that Night Sorrow was no longer with them, he said angrily. When the Supreme saw that Night Sorrow was not among the God World's troops, Dao Wui immediately spoke up. "Thank you, Supreme Yuling." Moreover, they clearly understood the value of Night Sorrow. When Supremacy Yuling arrived before the people of the God World, she immediately berated them coldly. Furthermore, they managed to drag out the severely injured master of Myriad Sword. Evil Sword, Earthly Sovereign's concealment technique, was something he could not unravel. Xiao Tianxian spoke with great difficulty as Sovereign Yuling suppressed the crowd. As expected, he's already dead. Upon hearing this, many Supremes nodded in satisfaction. However, at that moment, Dao Wui suddenly sent a voice transmission. "Supreme Yuling, I don't think this is a good idea. Why don't you use the soul-searching mystic technique on everyone in the God World territory and check on Night Sorrow's situation?" Chapter 2991. What? If an expert used the soul-searching technique on them, they would be crippled even if they weren't. Supreme Yuling, look. The moment I mentioned the soul-searching technique, their faces all changed. It's obvious that they're up to something. Nonsense. Aren't you afraid of someone using the soul-searching technique on you? And how dare you speak to me like that? Are you tired of living? Supreme Yuling stared at Xiao Tianxian and the rest of the people from the God World. He had also attacked the people from the God World, but doing so in the public square was too brazen, and there was a chance that he would suffer a backlash. Therefore, he wanted to bring the people from the God World to another place and use the soul-searching technique on them. Hearing Supreme Yuling's words, how could Xiao Tianxian and the rest not understand her meaning? Xiao Tianxian immediately rejected. After Xiao Tianxian said that, Supreme Yuling's face turned cold. Since both sides had already shed all pretenses of cordiality, Xiao Tianxian could finally relax. Puny ant, what backlash can I suffer from punishing you? Supreme Yuling's words were powerful, but he still didn't dare to make a move in the public square. His face turned cold. Supreme Yuling, when we drew the lots, we agreed to deal with Night Sorrow. Now that Night Sorrow is dead, I have no obligation to do anything. Whether you want to use the soul-searching technique or other techniques, it's your own business. It has nothing to do with me. Supreme Yuling was infuriated when she heard Supreme Whitebone's words. My mission is to kill Night Sorrow, not to search for him. We can confront Limitless Earthly Sovereign about this matter. If you want to use the soul-searching technique, do it yourself. Don't use me. He had drawn the lot to kill Night Sorrow, and it was Feng Wuji's idea. Therefore, he didn't dare to go against it. Oof. He then looked at Dao Wui. You're the one who brought up the soul-searching. You'll be the one to do it, Dao Wui said with a fake smile. Since you're not willing to make a move, why did you encourage me to make a move? They didn't attack anyone from the divine world. With Supreme Yuling's departure, Dao Wui and the rest left as well. After these people left, Xiao Tianxian and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Afterward, Supreme Yuling returned to the battleship and summoned Feng Wuji to continue hosting the final battle. Feng Wuji said and continued, "This is the battle between the top 32. It was different from the previous duels. Although the 32 territories would enter a small world with heaven-defying opportunities, it was still a small world. However, they would form groups of 2 and enter the 16 regions. In every region, a territory would appear and another territory would be eliminated. Even after entering the top 16, they would still encounter a fixed opponent. However, once you enter the top 8, it will be a battle royale. All right, do you, contestants, have any questions?" Most of these territories had dozens of people, but there were 8 or 9 territories that had less than 10 people left. As soon as Feng Wuji finished his sentence, one of the cultivators asked, "Wuji, Earthly Supreme, may I ask if we are allowed to send out Supreme-level battle pets in the final battle?" Feng Wuji replied coldly. After that, the contestants asked many more questions. When no one asked any more questions, Feng Wuji said, "Since no one has any more questions, let's start drawing lots. Every territory, send one person up." The people of the 32 territories said in unison and sent someone up to draw lots. Chapter 2992. This battle is different from the previous ones. What? The rules are the same this time? Especially the top 4 territories. Other than Feng Wuji's Jiu Xin territory, everyone's expression changed. Next, let's invite Supreme Yuling to host the lot drawing ceremony. Then, Supreme Yuling said politely and began to host the drawing of lots. Although the lot drawings seemed to be fair, the moment the lot was drawn, the people from Tianshao territory and Immortal Extremity territory turned green. As for the Divine World territory, their first opponent was the Heavenly Lord territory, ranked 9th last time. Han Songzi laughed when he saw that they were going against the Divine World territory and Heavenly Lord territory. You don't have to worry about that. It was definitely not a good draw to encounter the top 10 of the previous tournament in the round of 32. But overall, it was still acceptable. Han Songzi wanted to say something, but was stopped by the strongest person in the Heavenly Lord territory, Jun Tianling. Fairy Yu Yin is indeed very strong. She should be the strongest person in the 4 great sacred lands. If we encounter her, we must be careful. Fairy Yu Yin was drawing lots on the battleship. The others from the Moon Shadow territory didn't seem to be too outstanding. The 32 people on the battleship returned to their teams. "Woman, why is your tongue so cheap?" Fairy Yu Yin sneered. "If we encounter the Moon Shadow territory, I will make you lose your tongue immediately. Don't worry, we will take care of ourselves." Supreme Yuling, who was hosting the lot drawing, stepped down. "You're not giving us time to heal?" Feng Wuji sneered. "It's already rare for you to have time to rest, and you still want time to heal? All of you get in." The first 32 territories that stood together were all teleported into the small world. After entering the small world, Xiao Tianxian immediately called out Night Sorrow. Supreme Yuling said unhappily when she saw Yi Shang's figure on the screen. This was the first insurance. As for Dao Wui, Dao Jun, and Dao Tianming, their expressions were extremely ugly. Hee hee, I'm sure many people will be disappointed when they see me. His smile was very bright, and there was a hint of disdain in it. Can someone explain the rules to me? He and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had used Evil Sword Earth Supreme's concealment technique to block all senses. After that, Morong led the way and explained everything that had happened to Yishang, as well as the rules and opponents of the competition. In this round of duels, The goal was to kill or eliminate all the cultivators in the opponent's territory. Yishang was well aware of the immortal world's strength. Compared to the heavenly monarch's territory, the immortal world's territory was definitely weaker. Clan M. Chapter 2993. Everyone in the Divine World territory discussed for a while and felt that although the Divine World territory had two strong points, Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, their overall strength was still much weaker than the previous 9th place Heavenly Lord territory. Among them, Jun Tianling was like Fairy Yu Yin, one of the best among the cultivators of the right age. Even Yishang might not be a match for him. They would only know after they fought. As for those who were about the same strength as Xiao Tianxian, there were at least 5. Let's study how to set up the array formation to defend against the enemy according to the terrain. He wanted to use the Heavenly Lord territory's underestimation of the enemy to lure them into the array formation and then slowly slaughter them. Xiao Tianxian said and sent a voice transmission to Myriad Sword Sect, who had already woken up but was very weak. After chatting for a while, Xiao Tianxian confirmed that Myriad Sword Sect had profited from a disaster this time. The strength of his body had improved a lot. This was definitely a good thing for the Divine World territory. After all, it was not a good idea to always rely on Night Sorrow to fight alone. This small world was filled with towering ancient trees. All kinds of trees were lush and covered a large area. It even looked similar to some of the mountains in the Divine World territory. However, everyone in the Divine World territory did not have the patience to cultivate. They were all thinking about how to defeat the Heavenly Lord territory. However, they did not want to give up so easily, even if the opponent was the previous 9th place super territory. Using the Sea Serpent's eye to observe, Night Sorrow, who originally thought that the two territories would meet soon, discovered that this world was far vaster than they had imagined. I think that in this kind of competition, there will usually be opportunities for everyone to fight for. Otherwise, if both sides continue to waste time, who knows how long it will take to end the battle. Especially in the final battle of the top 8, there would definitely be amazing treasures that would appear. It will cause everyone to fight for it. This was completely an inference, but it was reasonable. Xiao Tianxian, who had finished investigating Myriad Sword Sect's injuries, came back to his senses and said, just as Xiao Tianxian was speaking, Night Sorrow suddenly roared. These branches stretched out and looked similar to the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast's attack. Therefore, he immediately took everyone in the heavenly realm into it. Night Sorrow felt that the ancient tree in front of him was very difficult to deal with. Therefore, he didn't want to be careless and directly summoned the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast. What a big guy! With a roar, it stretched out many tentacles and smashed into the endlessly extending branches. Night Sorrow, on the other hand, did not seem to match the size of the two. He shuttled through the branches and leaves like a butterfly, avoiding the attacks of the branches and flying towards the main body of the ancient tree. Not only is this Night Sorrow still alive, his strength has improved, and he has even tamed a 9-heaven supreme beast. Ever since Night Sorrow had appeared, his strength had been constantly increasing. The speed at which his strength was increasing made him feel very pressured. What's wrong? Do you feel that your arrangements are not thorough enough? Master Wuji, it's all right. After this battle, I will personally deal with him. We won't let him grow. The final battle that everyone was paying attention to was not very attractive in his eyes. Hearing Feng Wuji's words, Yuling's face immediately showed a relaxed expression. After fighting for about 4 hours, they finally shattered the ancient tree's origin and successfully killed it. Night Sorrow said a sentence and let Myriad Sword Sect come out to absorb the ancient tree's rules and essence. After Myriad Sword Sect collected the ancient tree's rules and essence, he immediately said excitedly, Clan M. Chapter 2994. It's great that Brother Juan can recover so quickly. That's indeed possible. Man proposes, God disposes. We'll just do our best. All right, Chaos and I will continue to fight together. You guys make arrangements for who will be the next to collect the laws and essence. After they killed this ancient tree, the one who stepped forward was Wu Lingfei. Currently, Wu Lingfei had already stabilized her intermediate sovereign realm. After collecting the ancient tree's laws and essence, she sat on the spot and started cultivating. Hence, she set up a protective formation for them. With this move, Night Sorrow was immediately surprised. Oh, that is to say, in this world, we can only rely on cultivation to fight? Moron Guoji asked. Night Sorrow said and continued, you guys guard them for the time being. We'll go hunt the supreme ancient tree first. Although some of the ancient trees that had taken form around them were at the supreme level, their strength was clearly not as strong as Night Sorrow and the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast. Returning to Myriad Sword Sect and Wu Lingfei's cultivation place, Night Sorrow divided these things equally among everyone. You guys cultivate in peace. This time, it's my turn to guard you. While guarding, Night Sorrow started to ponder the spear technique, making this attack completely in line with the supreme level. After Night Sorrow put away his spear, the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast asked doubtfully. This small world's vitality was completely different from the divine world's territory. Cultivating was completely different. It was very easy for people to become intoxicated and completely forget time. The chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast replied. To it, 10 years was just a blink of an eye. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was somewhat surprised. He felt that he had only cultivated for a while. Their cultivation speed is much slower than yours. Within 100 years, there shouldn't be anyone who can break through. That Myriad Sword Sect is almost recovering. You don't have to rush to search for opportunities. When Brother One recovers, we'll go explore together. After waiting for another 20 years, Myriad Sword Sect successfully recovered. After recovering, Myriad Sword Sect held the evil demon sword in hand and flew to Night Sorrow with a smile, greeting him. Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to observe Myriad Sword Sect and found that his strength had increased a lot. My physical strength increase had a lot to do with the evil demon sword. It's in my space, grotto heaven. Leave it to me. Myriad Sword Sect nodded and said, I already know that you spared his life, so I won't attack him. Don't worry. Yishang summoned Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign's remnant soul and handed it to the Myriad Sword Sect. Night Sorrow had taught him the star Soul Secret Star Earth, so he could recover on his own. After Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign was summoned, Master Wan Jian pointed his sword at him. Evil Sword Earthly Sovereign sighed and tapped the evil demon sword with his fingertip. From now on, in the future, this sword will not be called the evil demon sword, but the heaven-cleaving sword. The opponent was the territory of a celestial immortal, so it was called Immortal Slaying Sword. Brother, you knows me best. I do have such thoughts. Firstly, he wanted to look for opportunities. Secondly, he wanted to find out the location of the people in the Heaven Monarch's territory. Wait for an opportunity to strike at them. If anything happens, use the voice transmission stone to call me immediately. If we really can't handle it, we'll put everyone into the space paradise. Master Wan Jian raised the heaven-severing sword in his hand and said. Night Sorrow nodded and looked at the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Shrink a little. We'll go look for opportunities immediately. Chapter 2995. All right, I can finally go out and stretch my muscles. I wonder if there are any earthly, supreme-level treasures in this small world. After guarding the people of the divine realm for decades, it felt very bored. Night Sorrow glanced at the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and said speechlessly, Absorbing earthly sovereign rules and essence will increase my strength much faster. My foundation will be more solid, and my achievements will be higher. My enemy is very powerful, so I must be very strong in order to take revenge successfully. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast explained. When Night Sorrow heard this, he felt a trace of sympathy for the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Night Sorrow brought it along and left the place where the people of the divine realm were and headed into the distance. Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had both absorbed a lot of earthly sovereign rules in essence, so they were not very interested in these things. About half a year later, Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast walked out of the towering ancient forest. In the depths of the beach was a pale green ocean. However, in the middle of the ocean was an ancient tower that towered into the clouds. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast looked at the ancient tower and said, "So if it's a phantom, is this something like a mirage?" Then he led the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and flew toward the earthly supreme level illusory pagoda. Eternal Divine Tower? It's obviously not an ordinary item with eternal in its name. He didn't know if an earthly sovereign like Feng Wuji had an earthly sovereign artifact, but although the one in front of him was a phantom, he knew that it was definitely a genuine earthly sovereign artifact. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast asked doubtfully after circling the eternal divine tower in front of him. "Wait a little longer." However, just as Night Sorrow began to observe, he heard a roar from afar. When he saw Night Sorrow, Han Songzi immediately roared, "You brat, so you're not dead yet." Hearing Han Songzi's roar, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately roared in disdain. "That's right. He's from the divine realm, so I naturally won't let him off. Do I dare to fight you? Looks like you're extremely confident in your own strength." "I can't say that I'm extremely confident, but it's more than enough to deal with you. I hope you still have the courage to do so in a few breaths' time." After instructing his subordinates, he flew into the air and threw a punch at Night Sorrow. 3-1 quick update. These golden lights quickly surrounded Night Sorrow and wrapped him into a cocoon. Young Master Ling Tian said in disdain when he saw Night Sorrow trapped in the cocoon. Night Sorrow smiled. Similarly, he didn't use any divine weapons. Instead, he threw out a punch that contained earthly sovereign rules and shattered the cocoon. The spear light from the reincarnation spear immediately slashed toward young Master Ling Tian. "Something." Young Master Ling Tian smiled and took out a blood-red saber. After he took out the 100-battle saber, he immediately slashed 3 times into the void, and Night Sorrow's countless spear lights were directly absorbed by the cracks in the void. It looked a little strange. What move is this? It was a little worried that Night Sorrow would lose to young Master Ling Tian in front of it. He used his movement technique and directly dodged these cracks. In the process of being chased by the cracks, he once again struck at young Master Ling Tian. Facing this enemy from the Heavenly Monarch realm, he didn't want to waste his energy. Chapter 2996. Lightning Reincarnation Spear? This is your spear art? I don't think so. Night Sorrow's lightning reincarnation spear had definitely reached the level of returning to its original state. Its energy was very restrained, and the lightning it shot out didn't look wild. Night Sorrow, who was holding the golden heavenly halberd, mocked. At the same time, he formed a seal with his left hand and set up a divine origin trapping formation, locking young Master Ling Tian in it. Night Sorrow was now an intermediate dominator, but his true strength was about the same as an intermediate supremacy. As a result, the divine origin trapping formation had become very powerful. When the lightning reincarnation spear hit the divine origin trapping formation, it immediately hit young Master Ling Tian's chest. However, Night Sorrow's lightning reincarnation spear smashed a big hole in his chest, and the golden heavenly halberd pierced into his chest. After Night Sorrow's golden heavenly halberd pierced into his chest, young Master Ling Tian immediately let out a beast-like roar. Then, the golden light started to heal young Master Ling Tian's wounds. "Bastard! How dare you hurt me? You're courting death." However, he obviously couldn't say that he was almost killed because he felt that he couldn't afford to lose face. After this battle pet was summoned, it immediately let out a long roar. Seeing young Master Ling Tian summon his battle pet, Han Songzi of the Heaven Monarch territory immediately said doubtfully, "All right, everyone, Get ready to attack. If young master falls into a passive state again, we'll take action immediately. He knew clearly that if Yi Shang killed young master Ling Tian, then all of them would be slowly slaughtered. After Han Songzi finished speaking, everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory entered a state of readiness. After young master Ling Tian summoned his battle pet, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast detected the movements of the others in the Heaven Monarch territory and reminded Night Sorrow to be careful. Night Sorrow replied to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and started to fight with young master Ling Tian and his Earth Dragon battle pet. The two of them cooperated and attacked together, and Night Sorrow was a little strenuous to deal with. No need. Although I used my strongest technique, I didn't use all my abilities. The current situation seems dangerous, but it's actually not. I'm preparing a sure kill technique. Young Master Ling Tian and his Earth Dragon battle pet had gone all out. Even so, Ling Tian and his Earth Dragon battle pet were still unable to do anything to Night Sorrow. All they could do was suppress him. At this point of battle, Yi Shang thought to himself. Therefore, Night Sorrow had a rough understanding of his own strength. At this moment, he was almost certain that he should be ranked in the top 10 in this year's Battle of Providence, but definitely not in the top 4. The current him was still not comparable to those freaks from the 4 Great Holy Lands. At most, he could only fight Fairy Yuan. At this moment, young Master Ling Tian, who had been continuously suppressing Night Sorrow, was completely enraged. You still haven't realized that you're no match for me? At the same time, he unleashed the 33 Heavens Battle Secret technique and directly raised his strength to his strongest state. Young Noble Ling Tian, who had originally wanted to challenge Night Sorrow to a duel, realized that Night Sorrow still had some strength left. His eyes narrowed as he let out a roar. Night Sorrow, although you're very strong, it should be difficult for you to face so many opponents head-on. Let's run. It's okay. Even if I have to leave, I have to deal with this young Master Ling Tian first. While shouting the reincarnation spear technique, Night Sorrow's body immediately merged with the golden heavenly halberd. Oh no! Dragon 2, save me. At this moment, his Earth Dragon battle pet suddenly stood in front of him and used its body to block Night Sorrow's attack. Young Master Ling Tian, who was hit by the aftershock, was also severely injured. However, at this moment, the other Heavenly Lord's attacks were all aimed at him. Chapter 2997. Everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory, including Han Songzi and Bao Qingshan, was much weaker than young Master Ling Tian. However, the people in the Heaven Monarch territory obviously knew how to attack together. This time, we probably won't be able to kill young Master Ling Tian. Han Dun, let's go. Young Master, what should we do? Should we chase after him? Chase. Of course. No matter where he escapes, I'll kill him. He had almost been killed twice in the battle with Night Sorrow. Uncontrollable anger and jealousy towards Night Sorrow rose in his heart. Seeing that young Master Ling Tian wasn't seriously injured, Han Songzi immediately said. Then, he and Bao Qingshan each led a team and entered the illusion of the Eternal Divine Tower. Yes, young Master, what's going on with this Eternal Divine Tower? This Eternal Divine Tower is an illusion. There are a total of 33 levels. You can obtain some earthly supreme laws for every level you pass. If you pass all 33 levels, you can enter the real body of the Eternal Divine Tower. Yes, young Master. Yes. Compared to other territories, the people in the Heaven Monarch territory were like family soldiers. They completely obeyed young Master Ling Tian's orders. The Holy Spirit guarding the first level was only a lower-level sovereign. Night Sorrow killed it in a few breaths' time. This is the earthly supreme laws and essence. They're such a good thing. Looks like this is an opportunity brought by the Eternal Divine Tower. After absorbing the earthly supreme laws and essence, Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to look into the distance. He immediately saw the people in the Heaven Monarch territory. He immediately said, Let's enter the next level. The people in the Heaven Monarch territory are already chasing after us. If we absorb enough of the earthly sovereign's precepts and essence, we will be able to resist their combined attacks. Who knows, we might be able to finish them off in this pagoda. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said, and advanced towards the second level with Night Sorrow. There were many sovereign beasts on the second level, but Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast completely ignored them. They relied on their speed to shake them off. After encountering the Holy Spirit on the second level, Night Sorrow directly used the Thunder Reincarnation Spear and killed it instantly because of his previous experience. Young Master Ling and the others behind him kept chasing, but they couldn't catch up. Good. It seems that this is the only way. After young Noble Ling Tian kept everyone in his spatial paradise, he immediately executed a secret technique to raise his speed to the maximum. Seeing young Noble Ling Tian chasing after him, Night Sorrow immediately understood what was going on. All right. Yi Shuang put Ling Tian into his spatial grotto heaven and used the void transition technique to increase the distance between him and young Master Ling Tian. After chasing for another 3 levels, he gave up completely. After he finished speaking, young Master Ling Tian entered Han Songzi's spatial paradise to rest and adjust his state of mind. As for Night Sorrow, he didn't feel tired at all and continued climbing. Sigh. It's a pity that we won't be able to obtain any of the opportunities within the Eternal Divine Tower. Bao Qingshan was also unwilling to give up. He said unhappily, when we catch up to them, we'll kill them and take back all the treasures. I don't believe that the 2 of them can defeat so many of us. Han Songzi couldn't help but sigh as he recalled his encounter with Night Sorrow in the square. Chapter 2998. After Han Songzi said this, Bao Qingshan's brows immediately revealed a look of surprise. What are the 2 of you panicking for? I fought with them before, and I'm still fine. Following that, Han Songzi and Bao Qingshan immediately fell silent. The 2 of them were afraid of angering young Master Ling Tian. Supreme Yuling said with a displeased look. The battle for Providence this time had just begun, and she had been paying attention to Night Sorrow. Beside him, Supreme Whitebone said, I don't think so. I heard that Supreme Longevity is clearly much more domineering compared to this Night Sorrow. He definitely won't escape. After all, he didn't escape until he died in battle back then. Hearing Supreme Whitebone's words, Supreme Yuling nodded. Limitless Earth Supreme, how did you deduce that? Based on the fact that he escaped from the battle just now? No. What? This Night Sorrow can obtain such great achievements? How is that possible? They felt that this matter was very difficult for them to accept. Feng Wuji said and continued, if nothing goes wrong, he will come to settle the grudges back then. Supreme Yuling looked at Feng Wuji with doubt between her brows. It's Whitebone's fault. It's too late to admit your mistake now. After Feng Wuji had completely left, Supreme Yuling glared at Supreme Whitebone coldly and said, it's all your fault. Great, that Night Sorrow has risen. Supreme Whitebone was very humble in front of Feng Wuji, but when he looked at Supreme Yuling, it was clearly different. Humph. At this moment, Supreme Yuling was not in the mood to continue messing around with Supreme Whitebone at all. Her pair of dark eyes stared coldly at Night Sorrow. Yes. The other supreme beings didn't say anything else. Their gazes were fixed on Yi Shang. While everyone in the outside world was paying attention, Night Sorrow had already entered the 22nd level with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Although Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast erupted right away, they did not kill him quickly. Night Sorrow, I've finally caught up to you. You weren't Night Sorrow's match to begin with. Now that he has absorbed a large amount of the earthly sovereign's precepts and essence, even if you join forces with the others, you won't be his match. Not only did he not escape, he even pursued relentlessly. Isn't that stupid? He was Jun Tianling's uncle, and his heart was in his throat. He ordered everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory to prepare for the attack. Everyone in the Heaven Monarch's territory had already started to prepare for the attack. Knight Sorrow naturally couldn't ignore it. Give it your all and cooperate with me to kill him. Thunder Reincarnation Spear. After the Thunder Reincarnation Spear was shot out, it immediately clashed with the attacks of the Heaven Monarchs. Moreover, the aftermath of the attack sent all the cultivators in the Heavenly Monarch's territory flying. What's going on? How did this Knight Sorrow become so strong? However, after Knight Sorrow's attack, the confidence in their hearts was completely shattered. Knight Sorrow and the territory of the God Realm are not something you can insult. You don't have the qualifications to make me recognize you as my master. Seeing that Knight Sorrow's attack could not be avoided at all, Han Songzi immediately begged for mercy. Knight Sorrow said disdainfully and continued to stab at Han Songzi. At this moment, Han Songzi woke up from his dream and took out his identity token, wanting to crush it immediately. Seeing that Han Songzi was so useless, young Master Ling Tian immediately roared in dissatisfaction. Clan M. Chapter 2999. Young Master, as you can see, if I don't crush my identity token, I will be killed the next moment. Isn't that blind loyalty? Although he would be scolded for doing so, he felt that it was worth it to save his life. At this moment, Knight Sorrow suddenly took out the secret treasure he obtained from the Myriad sword sect and used it on Han Songzi. It didn't completely freeze Han Songzi on the spot, but only slightly delayed his movements. As Knight Sorrow sighed, the golden heavenly halberd pierced through Han Songzi's chest and shattered his dantian. In that instant, he was sent out of the small world by a ray of light. Although his dantian was shattered, his soul was still intact. Seeing that Han Songzi was still alive, Knight Sorrow said regretfully. Young Master Ling, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly realized a problem. The Heavenly Monarch's territory might fail miserably today and lose to the insignificant Divine World's territory. To him, this was the greatest humiliation. The originally arrogant young Master Ling's words of encouragement became much gentler. Yes, young Master. At this moment, young Master Ling ordered, use a joint attack. I'm not his opponent, but he definitely won't be able to defeat us if we work together. After this attack, a long dragon formed from energy immediately appeared in the void. Knight Sorrow's attack is very powerful. Do you need my help? I want to see the consequences of taking this attack head-on. If I'm seriously injured, you can help me defeat them. The cultivators in the Heavenly Monarch's territory are all exhausted and have no strength to resist. He suddenly used the strengthened version of the Lightning Reincarnation Spear. The reason for this was because the joint attack from the Heavenly Monarch's territory was too powerful. You still dare to take it head-on? Die. In his opinion, Knight Sorrow was seeking death by taking on so many people head-on. As Knight Sorrow replied, he suddenly collided with young Master Ling and the rest attack. After the two attacks collided, the void immediately exploded. The joint attack from the Heavenly Monarch's territory was indeed not simple. After exchanging blows, apart from young Noble Ling Tian and Bao Qingshan, who were still standing in their original positions, the rest of them were all swaying left and right. The only reason young Noble Ling Tian and Bao Qingshan were able to remain standing was because their defensive armors had been destroyed and most of the attacks had been dissipated. His gaze became illusory, as if he could not accept the fact that Knight Sorrow was so powerful. Young Master, we're no match for him. Let's crush our identity plates and run. After all, this is only a battle for karmic luck. There's no need for us to choose to die in battle. At the same time, he had already grabbed the identity plate in his hand. Young Master Ling Tian's shoulders were trembling nonstop as he gritted his teeth and spoke word by word. Young Master, it's not scary to lose. We can always make a comeback. However, he could not stop young Master Ling Tian at all. As the black aura continued to emerge, his eyes turned completely dark red, and his lips turned greenish-black. As he entered the demonic path on the spot, Knight Sorrow, I'm no match for you today, but the next time we meet, I will directly kill you. That won't be too long. I thought you would choose to fight with me after you entered the demonic path. Chapter 3000. Night Sorrow's gaze swept across the rest of the people in the Heaven Monarch territory who were scared out of their wits. Upon seeing this, Night Sorrow, who was floating in the void, smiled slightly and did not attack. In a previous exchange, he had obviously suffered more damage than young Masterling Tion and the rest of the people in the Heaven Monarch territory. He no longer had the ability to kill his opponent. Supreme Tianxiang, who was watching from the outside, could not help but sigh. It seems that Jun Tianling and Night Sorrow are not only different in strength, but also in an indomitable aura. Night Sorrow was clearly exhausted, while Jun Tianling still had the strength to fight. However, the result was that Jun Tianling and everyone in the Heaven Monarch territory were scared away. Sigh. Who said it wasn't? I was so close to losing my life. How infuriating. Perhaps this is providence. They felt that it was acceptable that the Tao world's territory was eliminated by Night Sorrow. Providence. Even if he has providence, he will definitely die. No matter how powerful he is, can he withstand the attack of an Earth Sovereign? Given the strength of the Divine World's territory, it would definitely not be able to protect him. They felt that with an Earth Sovereign attacking, Night Sorrow would definitely not have a chance to counterattack. They could only watch the battle between the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast and the 22nd level. Although this energy was not an Earth Sovereign's law and essence, it was very pure Heaven-Earth origin energy and quickly recovered. His cultivation level also increased steadily, and he was one step closer to becoming an upper-level ruler. If this is not the reward for clearing the level, then this is the reward for eliminating the Heaven Monarch territory, right? At this moment, Yishang didn't know that when they defeated the Heavenly Lord's territory, a sealed door had opened. Night Sorrow, quick, come and help me. This sacred spirit is not easy to deal with. He had already transformed into his original form, but he was still not the sacred spirit's match. I didn't expect this sacred spirit to become stronger as it fights. At the moment, the battle had developed into a one-sided situation. Trespassers die. How dare you be fierce in front of me? Then, he formed a seal with his left hand and suddenly slapped the sacred spirit. With a bang, the sacred spirit was sent flying. After it rose to its feet, it furiously enlarged its body. When it was 30 meters tall, it unexpectedly let out a long howl at Night Sorrow. Not good. My divine soul should not be able to withstand this blow. It will definitely suffer heavy injuries. However, Night Sorrow, who originally thought that his soul would be severely damaged, discovered that his soul wasn't damaged at all. He didn't even realize it himself. The Holy Spirit's expression immediately changed when it saw that Night Sorrow wasn't seriously injured by this attack. When Night Sorrow saw the expression on the Holy Spirit's face, he immediately understood that it no longer had any ability. The development of the battle was similar to what Night Sorrow had expected. Very quickly, it was completely destroyed. After completely absorbing the earthly supreme laws and essence of this level's reward, Night Sorrow's cultivation level wasn't far from that of a higher ruler. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast asked after sharing the earthly sovereign law and essence with Night Sorrow. We've only just entered the eternal divine tower, so there's no need to rush. Go through the levels here with peace of mind and choose to leave when you encounter an opponent you can't fight. The 23rd level's Guardian Sacred Spirit was slightly weaker than the 22nd levels, but as the levels increased, the Sacred Spirit's strength gradually surpassed the 22nd level's Sacred Spirit and completely shook it off. Clan M. Chapter 3001. The 30th level's Holy Spirit was a crystal clear green jade lion. This jade lion looked charmingly naive, but it was very powerful in battle. Night Sorrow judged that it had already surpassed the supremacy stage. It had vaguely reached the half-step earthly supreme level, and the earthly supreme laws and essence that it had mastered were stronger than his and the chaotic heavenly crystal beasts. After fighting for about 15 minutes, Night Sorrow put away the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and gave up on fighting it to the death. He knew that he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage if he continued fighting. This Jade Lion is really scary. If not for your amazing speed, we would have been killed. If only I had its strength, I would be one step closer to revenge. After escaping from the 30th level, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast suddenly spoke. But no matter how strong it is, it has no freedom. It's better to become the eternal divine tower's master than to become it. Night Sorrow said with a smile. However, just as he finished speaking, he was attacked by lightning. The endless thunderbolts suddenly smashed down like raindrops, scaring the chaotic heavenly crystal beast to the point that it almost choked. Looks like I can't talk nonsense. Night Sorrow, who was resisting the lightning attacks with all his might, murmured softly, and quietly waited for the lightning to disappear. To Night Sorrow's and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's surprise, the lightning in front of them actually lasted for a full year. After the lightning stopped, Night Sorrow couldn't help but sigh and say, "This eternal divine tower is indeed mysterious. Looks like its master must be some big shot. Yeah, let's not talk about it casually anymore." The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said warily. Although the lightning just now didn't cause a destructive blow to Night Sorrow, the torture of a year clearly made him anxious. How would the chaotic heavenly crystal beast dare to talk nonsense? Let's not talk about it anymore. We should also return and see the others. Night Sorrow nodded and brought the chaotic heavenly crystal beast back to the area where everyone in the Divine World territory cultivated. Night Sorrow, you're back. What did you encounter when you went out? Seeing Night Sorrow return, the Myriad Sword sect, who was guarding the others, immediately flew into the air and greeted him. Yes, I went through a battle and even passed through some checkpoints. Night Sorrow opened his mouth and shared some of his experiences with the Wanjian sect. Hearing this, Master Wanjian raised his eyebrows and said in surprise, "Really? So what you're saying is that we've already entered the top 16? If we can take another step forward, then we will create the best record in the history of the Divine World. Let's hope I can improve further." However, our next opponent is very likely to be the Moon Shadow Estate that was ranked 5th in the previous tournament. It should not be easy to deal with. At the mention of the Moon Shadow Estate, Night Sorrow immediately thought of that arrogant fairy Yuan. He thought to himself, "I said that there will be a battle between us." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Master Wanjian sighed and said, "Night Sorrow, it's good that you're strong, but you're always shouldering everything on your own shoulders. The pressure is too great. Try not to do this in the future. Don't worry. The Moon Shadow Estate is extremely powerful. With my strength alone, I should not be able to defeat it. If we want to make history, everyone must fight together with all their might." When Night Sorrow said this, he looked at the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast. "Don't worry, I'll do my best to help you all." The Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast immediately responded, indicating that he would not be a deserter. Then Night Sorrow continued, "Oh right, Brother Wan. How's their cultivation going? Although you haven't been there for many years, their strength has already undergone tremendous changes. One of the main reasons for this is that you defeated the Heavenly Lord Estate and let everyone obtain the Heaven and Earth Origin Energy Reward. According to my observations, if nothing unexpected happens, our Divine World Estate will soon have no middle-level sovereigns." Master Wanjian said with a smile. He could confirm that everyone in the Divine World Estate who is cultivating should be able to advance to upper-level sovereign or stronger. Your words might not be too accurate. I'm clearly dragging them down. If they don't obtain any fortuitous encounters, they shouldn't be able to advance in a short time. After Master Wanjian finished speaking, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Through his observations, he also discovered that everyone in the Divine World Estate, including Wu Lingfei, had their strength greatly improved. But judging for a bit, he felt that he should not advance quickly. Her, your strength can no longer be measured by realm. Don't be modest, Master Wan Jian said, then continued. That's right, Brother Yi. After I recovered, I didn't experience any battles. Why don't we spar so that I can understand my own strength better? Sure. Since we have nothing to do, let's run around. Knight Sorrow nodded in agreement, then got the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast to help look after the people in the Divine World Estate. He and Master Wan Jian went above the void and had a spar. After returning from the spar, Master Wan Jian sighed helplessly and said, I originally thought that my strength had already become very strong, but I'm still so far away from you. You're really a blow to me. Brother Wan, although your strength can't compare to young Masterling Tian, it's not much different. I think you can already rank in the top 50 of this year's War of Providence, so don't sigh. Really? I just fought with you and lost so miserably, and I can actually still rank in the top 50? Ranking in the top 50 of all the contestants, this kind of result, Master Wan Jian did not expect at all. Hearing Knight Sorrow finish, he asked in surprise, It's true. Why would I lie to you? Knight Sorrow nodded. He indeed did not lie. Obtaining the evil demon sword, or rather the heaven-cleaving sword, Master Wan Jian was like a tiger that had grown wings. Now, his strength already had a qualitative improvement. That's great. Counting it like this, I can definitely help in the battle with the Moon Shadow Estate. In the recent battles, I didn't contribute at all, really a little embarrassed. Master Wan Jian stroked the sword in his hand and said, Don't worry, the opportunity to fight won't be lacking. Knight Sorrow said, just in time to see Jin Xian, who was in the middle of cultivation, suddenly advance to upper-level sovereign level. He, whose cultivation was originally the lowest, finally broke away from the fate of being at the bottom at this moment. The aura here is really too suitable for cultivation. If I continue to cultivate here, I think I should be able to cultivate to the peak of the sovereign level very soon. After successfully avoiding the lightning tribulation, Jin Xian came to Knight Sorrow and Master Wan Jian sighed emotionally. Then he asked, How are the others? What happened all these years? The others haven't changed much, but everyone's strength has increased by a lot. Master Wan Jian looked at Jin Xian and said, Also, Brother Yi has eliminated the Heavenly Lord Estate with his own strength. We've already entered the top 16. Really? Does this mean we've made history? Jin Xian asked excitedly. At this moment, Knight Sorrow said, Yes, it does. But to really rewrite history, we have to defeat the Moon Shadow Estate. Chapter 3002. That's right. Only by defeating the Moon Shadow Estate can we enter the top 8 and surpass all the predecessors. Myriad Sword Sect also looked at Jin Xian and said, This result was something he did not dare to imagine before, but now that he was standing here, endless courage had already risen in his heart. Top 8. What a tempting number. Jin Xian raised his eyebrows and revealed an expectant smile. Then he asked, All right, when will the next round of battles begin? I wonder if there's enough time for the others to cultivate to advance. Normally speaking, the next round of battles should have begun by now. Our best course of action is to immediately head to the new area to search for opportunities. However, they are at a critical moment in their cultivation and should not be suitable for migration. Knight Sorrow voiced his judgment. He felt that the moment he eliminated the Heavenly Lord Estate, the next round had already begun. As for whether the Moon Shadow Estate had already defeated the other estate, he was not sure. How about Brother Yi? You go over and check it out like last time to see if there are any opportunities. Myriad Sword Sect looked at Knight Sorrow and said. As soon as his voice fell, he added, But the Moon Shadow Estate is definitely stronger than the Heavenly Lord Estate. How about you not clash with them first? It's good to go and check it out, lest the opportunities are taken by the Moon Shadow Estate. Knight Sorrow glanced at the others who were cultivating and replied, All right, we'll go immediately. We can't let others beat us to it. The Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast had already tasted the sweetness. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he looked eager to give it a try. All right, then let's go and fight first. Knight Sorrow prepared to go after saying that. However, at this moment, there was another commotion over at the cultivating crowd. Xiao Tianxian came out of seclusion. After coming out of seclusion, his aura was very restrained. Clearly, he had reached the peak of the ruler realm, which was half-step supreme. In terms of cultivation realm, he was already the same as Myriad Sword Sect. However, Myriad Sword Sect benefited from a disaster and obtained the evil demon sword. Furthermore, his mind was connected with it, and his strength increased by a lot. Overall, Xiao Tianxuan's strength should be slightly weaker than him. After Xiao Tianxian came out of seclusion, he heard that Knight Sorrow had eliminated the Heaven Monarch territory. He was also very happy. However, he did not agree to let Knight Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast investigate again. He was afraid that Knight Sorrow would encounter the lunar shadow estate and be no match for them. That works too. Then I'll also cultivate for a few days. Knight Sorrow was dissuaded by Xiao Tianxian and went to cultivate as well. Cultivating here would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. Since he had decided not to explore, he immediately seized the time to cultivate. After Knight Sorrow entered the state of cultivation, 20 years quickly passed. In these 20 years, everyone in the deity world had come out of seclusion one after another. Everyone, including Wu Lingfei, had broken free of the intermediate sovereign level. Enter the higher level dominator rank. Murong Jinlu and Yuan Fengxue had both entered the peak sovereign realm. Their strength was only slightly weaker than Xiao Tianxuan's, but they had also improved a lot. After coming out of seclusion, Yuan Fengxue smiled and said, "No wonder everyone is fighting to enter the championship battle. Even if we don't do anything here, our strength will increase greatly." At this time, Xiao Tianxian said, "Actually, it's not as good as you think. We can cultivate peacefully for so many years without any disturbances. This is all thanks to Knight Sorrow single-handedly eliminating the Heaven Monarch territory. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to achieve this." "That's right. Brother Yi, you've created such good conditions for us. We must play a role in the battle against the Lunar Shadow Estate. We can't let him suffer alone," Master Wan Jian also said. Speaking of which, his life was saved by Knight Sorrow from the evil sword Earthly Sovereign's hands. Now that the evil sword Earthly Sovereign was in his hands, guiding his cultivation and steadily increasing his strength, his gratitude towards Knight Sorrow was indescribable. That's right. The battle for Providence has entered the final stage, and we've been spectators. There's no point in existing like this. That's not good. Shui Changtian also lamented. After the second round of the competition, he was basically a bystander and did not contribute at all. Now that his strength had increased, he was eager to try. At this time, Wu Lingfei suddenly said, "Brother Wan, I would like to challenge you to test my strength." "Oh, challenge me?" Master Wan Jian smiled when he heard Wu Lingfei's words. According to Knight Sorrow, his current strength could be ranked in the top 50 of the battle for Providence. He felt that Wu Lingfei would not stand a chance. "That's right. I'll challenge you. However, we'll only spar and not risk our lives," Wu Lingfei said firmly. "Of course." Master Wan Jian smiled and continued. "Since that's the case, let's fight in the void." "Okay." Wu Lingfei responded and flew into the void as well. At this time, Xiao Tianxian reminded her, "Be careful. Don't disturb Knight Sorrow's cultivation or expose his whereabouts." "Don't worry." Master Wan Jian nodded at Xiao Tianxian and looked at Wu Lingfei confidently. "You go first." "All right." As Wu Lingfei spoke, the armor on her body suddenly burned with hot flames. However, her aura was incomparably cold. As Wu Lingfei attacked, Master Wan Jian gradually realized that he had underestimated his opponent. Wu Lingfei's strength was obviously much stronger than he had imagined. He had to be careful when dealing with her. At the end of the battle, Master Wan Jian was surprised to find that if he did not use his killer move, he could only fight to a draw with Wu Lingfei. However, even if he did not use his killer move, she did not use hers either. Therefore, their battle ended in a draw. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at with new eyes. After the battle, Master One Jian held his sword and gestured to Wu Lingfei. While admiring her, he was also in a good mood. After all, Wu Lingfei's increase in strength also increased the strength of the realm of the gods. It would be of more help to the battle with the Moon Shadow estate. Haha, I didn't expect Lingfei to have such battle strength. In my opinion, our realm of the gods has a lot of potential this time. Xiao Tianxian praised Wu Lingfei with a smile. The others in the realm of the gods also looked at Wu Lingfei with surprise. No one would have thought that her strength would increase so quickly. The extent of her improvement should be second only to Night's Sorrow. I hope we can cross the mountain in front of us and successfully advance to the top 8. Everyone began to praise Wu Lingfei. Wu Lingfei smiled and said, "That's right." At this time, the changes in their strength made some of the Supremes who were watching from the outside feel a lot of pressure. Supreme Yu Ling sighed. All the people from the realm of the gods who are participating in this battle for providence must be killed. Otherwise, they will grow. We will definitely not have peace. She could already see that these people in the realm of the gods were growing into a golden generation under the influence of Night's Sorrow. Clan M. Chapter 3003. If not for Night's Sorrow, Myriad Sword Sect and the rest would definitely have declined along with the Divine World territory. But with Night's Sorrow's rise, they had obtained large amounts of resources and the chance to fight. This way, their future had changed completely. Everyone had the chance to grow into an expert. Yes, we must kill them completely. This time, no one from the Divine World territory can leave. After Supreme Yu Ling finished speaking, many people immediately agreed. These supreme martial artists were not from the Four Sacred Grounds, but they had attacked the Supreme Longevity back then and formed a grudge with the Divine World territory. While many supreme martial artists were plotting against the Divine World territory, Night's Sorrow was still cultivating. Among the rest of the Divine World territory, some were guarding Night's Sorrow, while others were searching for the ancient tree that had turned into a spirit. Through the battle with the ancient tree, they were training their own battle techniques. While the Divine World territory was patiently preparing, the Moon Shadow territory had already defeated their opponents and successfully removed the seal. They had successfully entered the space connected to the Divine World territory. Fairy Yuan, do you think the Heavenly Lord territory on the other side has already destroyed the Divine World territory? The Moon Shadow territory's deputy leader, Yu Miao, asked Yu in the moment the seal was removed. The difference in strength between the Heavenly Lord territory and the Divine World territory is like heaven and earth. If there are no accidents, the Heavenly Lord territory will definitely advance before us. Fairy Yuan said cautiously. They entered first, so they should be more familiar with the terrain than us. Everyone, be careful. After all, the Heavenly Lord territory was ranked 9th in the previous competition. They are not much weaker than us. Yes, Fairy Yuan. After hearing that, the rest of the Moon Shadow territory began to move forward cautiously. They were afraid of being ambushed by the Heavenly Lord territory. Little did they know that the Heavenly Lord territory people had already been sent out by Night's Sorrow. It was precisely because of the Moon Shadow territory people's cautiousness that Night's Sorrow and the Divine World territory cultivators had more time to improve their strength. About 3 years later, Night's Sorrow successfully advanced to an upper-level dominator. After completely breaking through, Night's Sorrow's aura already made the Divine World territory people feel heavy pressure. After advancing to an upper-level dominator, his aura was similar to some of the older supreme martial artists in the Divine World territory. Originally, I thought that once I became a higher dominator, the gap between us would close. But I didn't expect that we'd only close the gap between our realms and not our strength. After Night's Sorrow came out of seclusion, Wu Lingfei revealed a gratified smile. Hearing this, Night's Sorrow smiled and said, "You're not bad either. Now, let's make the best use of our time and head to the Eternal Divine Tower. Let's see if we can obtain the opportunities in the last few levels. It's best that the Moon Shadow Estate doesn't get these opportunities. In the previous battle, Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast were unable to clear the Eternal Divine Tower, even after joining forces. As a result, they did not obtain the final rewards. Now, he wanted to quickly obtain those fortuitous encounters and increase his strength so that he could engage in a fierce battle with the Moon Shadow Estate. Good, let's go there immediately. Upon hearing this, Shao Tianxian immediately summoned everyone back, following which, under the lead of Night Sorrow, everyone from the God World territory headed towards the Eternal Divine Tower. When they reached the vicinity of the Eternal Divine Tower, they did not encounter anyone from the Moon Shadow Estate. It was just that after entering, the battle was not as easy as Night Sorrow thought. This time, he and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast joined forces with everyone from the God World territory to attack together, but they only passed the 31st level's test. They were easily defeated by the 32nd level's Holy Spirit. They did not even reach the 33rd level, let alone break through completely. Actually, Night Sorrow was not sure that the Moon Shadow Estate had only broken through the 31st level, exactly the same result as the God World territory. Generally speaking, only people from the 4 great sacred lands could defeat the 32nd level's Holy Spirit. As for territories that could defeat the 33rd level's Holy Spirit, they had never appeared before. In addition, in these few years, the Moon Shadow Estate had carefully investigated and did not discover any fortuitous encounters similar to the Eternal Divine Tower. The people from the Moon Shadow Estate have not appeared yet. Our fortuitous encounters are basically like this. Why don't we go look for them? After retreating from the Eternal Divine Tower, everyone from the God World territory spent a month's time to completely recover from their injuries. Then, the Myriad Sword Sect, who is full of fighting spirit, suggested, "Good, our strength should have reached a bottleneck, and there won't be much improvement in a short period of time. It's time to fight with our opponents." Night Sorrow nodded and continued. The Moon Shadow Estate was ranked 5th in the previous competition, and they are very strong. When fighting, everyone prioritizes self-preservation. As for that so-called Fairy Yu Yan, I have confidence in defeating her. Don't worry, the Moon Shadow Estate's advantage against us now should only be in numbers. Apart from you and Fairy Yu Yan, who are extraordinary, we have confidence in fighting against the rest. Myriad Sword Sect said confidently. Now, he and Wu Lingfei's strength were at the level of charging into the top 50, and Shao Tianxian could almost rank in the top 100. Coupled with the Supreme Stage Chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, their top combat strength should not be inferior to the Moon Shadow Estate. Good. Let's strive to create history together. However, there's something I want to say first. This battle will definitely be unprecedentedly difficult. If anyone encounters danger, don't hesitate to crush your identity token immediately. Before officially leaving, Night Sorrow instructed in a grave tone. He knew that the overall strength of the Divine World was definitely weaker than the Moon Shadow Estate. When fighting, there would definitely be people injured, and people would be tested by life and death. He did not want to see anyone from the Divine World die in the battle for Providence. Yes, our Divine World Estate's results in this year's Battle for Providence are already good enough. Everyone, don't be too stubborn when fighting. Shao Tianxian gave the same instruction and began to discuss tactics with the rest. While searching for the Moon Shadow Estate, everyone decided to split into a few groups again and use a joint attack formation. As for Night Sorrow and the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, they relied on their own combat strength to fight. There's a situation ahead. Everyone, be careful to conceal your aura. After searching in the small world for about half a month, Night Sorrow finally found traces of the Moon Shadow Estate on a mountain peak. It turned out that the Moon Shadow Estate currently thought that their opponent was the Heavenly Lord Estate, so they were very careful. All of them were hiding in a cave on a mountain peak. Only 4 cultivators were left outside to observe the surrounding situation. Night Sorrow saw the 4 hidden sentries through the sea serpent's eye, so he got everyone to hide their auras. He patiently observed the movements of the sentries in the Moon Shadow Estate, wanting to determine the location of the other people in the Moon Shadow Estate. The Moon Shadow Estate's behavior clearly showed that they did not want to fight head-on. He had to be careful in case the Divine World Estate was ambushed. Genius memorized this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3004. The Moon Shadow Estate is so strong. Why would they need to hide in a cave? Are they planning to catch us off guard when we pass by? Night Sorrow explained the situation in the distance, and Master Wan Jian mocked. They really don't deserve to be in the top 5. In his opinion, cultivators should fight with real swords and spears. There was no point in cowering. The leader of the Moon Shadow Estate is Fairy Yu Yan. She's a woman, so she might be more meticulous than us. Xiao Tianxian said, then looked at Night Sorrow and said, Night Sorrow, what do you think we should do? Should we sneak up and ambush them? They must have felt that the Heaven Monarch Realm's territory had advanced to the next level. Furthermore, the Heaven Monarch Realm's territory defeated us very quickly. They must be afraid that the Heaven Monarch Realm's territory would enter the public area between the 2 regions first and set up some traps. Night Sorrow observed for a while and said his judgment. Since they're worried that the Heaven Lord Estate will set up a trap, they'll definitely make use of that mountain peak. This way, it won't be easy for us to ambush them. Muron Guides glanced at the mountain peak, but he didn't have the sea serpent's eye and could only see the vague outline of the mountain peak. At this time, Yishang thought for a moment and said, I think everyone shouldn't think too much. If I were to challenge Fairy Wei Yin, I would be able to defeat her. If I challenge her, she'll definitely accept it. As long as I defeat her, the Moon Shadow Estate will have lost half of their forces. Originally, he wanted to lead the people of the Heavenly Realm to ambush the Moon Shadow Estate. But after thinking about it, Night Sorrow felt that Muron Guides made sense. The Moon Shadow Estate must have done something on the mountain peak. If they fought with the Moon Shadow Estate cultivators on the mountain peak, they wouldn't have a good ending. You and Fairy Yu Yin fight? That's a good idea. As long as Fairy Yu Yin is defeated, they won't hide in there anymore. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Master Wan Jian immediately supported him. At this moment, Wu Lingfei said worriedly, Night Sorrow, are you confident? After all, Fairy Yu Yin is ranked in the top 10 in the battle for Providence. I'm confident. I don't think there's a single sovereign in the Eternal Paragon world who can suppress me, Night Sorrow said confidently. Now that he had become an upper-level dominator, he was only a step away from becoming a half-step supreme. Under these circumstances, he was confident that he could defeat all of the sovereigns. Isn't that the number 1 sovereign of the Eternal Paragon realm? After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. After everyone heard this, they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. They all laughed. At this moment, Night Sorrow continued. In terms of strength alone, I'm no weaker than any of the Eternal Sovereigns. However, the top 4 territories definitely have many trump cards that we don't know about. Therefore, I'm not sure if I can defeat the strongest of the 4 great holy lands. It's already not easy for you to reach where you are today, even though you were born in the divine realm. Don't compare it to the 4 great holy lands. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Master Wan Jian smiled and continued, If you're sure, then I'll go and challenge you. No need, I'll do it myself. Night Sorrow patted Master Wan Jian's shoulder and said, I'll go and fight in a while. You guys be ready to fight at any time. Okay, the sword in my hand is already starting to heat up, Master Wan Jian said, full of fighting spirit. After everyone was ready, Night Sorrow slowly flew toward the mountain peak where the Moon Shadow Estate was located. After flying for a distance, Night Sorrow used Dragon Roar and shouted toward the mountain peak, Yu Yin, in the square, I once said that you and I will definitely fight. Now that I'm here to accept the challenge. Where are you? Isn't this night's sorrow? Could it be that the divine realm eliminated the heavenly lord estate? After Night's Sorrow shouted, everyone in the Moonshadow estate looked at the people around them in surprise. Even Fairy Yu Yin couldn't believe her ears. However, very quickly, Night's Sorrow shouted the same words again. In addition, the sentries outside came in to report. Only then did everyone in the Moonshadow estate completely confirm that the one who appeared was indeed Night's Sorrow. This proved that the divine realm had indeed eliminated the heavenly lord estate. How did they eliminate the heavenly lord estate? This is too unbelievable. After confirming that the divine realm had eliminated the heavenly lord estate, Yu Hua, the deputy leader of the Moonshadow estate, frowned and said, no matter what, he couldn't think of how the divine realm had won. After all, when they first met, the divine realm estate was so inconspicuous. At this time, Fairy Yu Yin, who was originally sitting on a stone chair, slowly stood up. She guessed, I think it should be this Night's Sorrow who suppressed young Master Ling Tian of the Heavenly Lord Estate and eliminated the Heavenly Lord Estate through a bet. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't dare to challenge me. That should be the case. Fairy Yu Yin, will you go out and fight, or will our Yu Ling estate swarm forward? Yu Hua asked with a face full of fighting spirit. If the opponent was the Heavenly Lord Estate, he wouldn't be worried. But now, the opponent was the Divine Realm Estate, which was unimaginable. This made him feel very awkward, and he didn't know how to fight. Of course I'll go out and fight. Fairy Yu Yan's name is not for nothing. Fairy Wei Yin said coldly, then continued, but I won't agree to any of his conditions for the battle. It's impossible for their territory in the divine world to sneak past our Moonshadow estate. Fairy Yu Yin is wise. Then let us wish Fairy victory in advance. After Fairy Yu Yin finished speaking, many cultivators of the Moonshadow estate hurriedly cheered for her. Then, Fairy Yu Yin took a step forward and appeared outside the cave. After she appeared, the others of the Moonshadow estate also walked out of the cave and stood on the mountain peak. In their opinion, the Heavenly Lord estate needed to be well guarded. As for the Divine Realm estate in front of them, it was not a threat at all. There was no need to use the prepared trap at all. Night's Sorrow, you want to fight with me? I'll satisfy you. But don't mention the fearless bet. I won't be like young Master Ling Tian and fall for your trick. In an instant, Fairy Yu Yin held two crescent-shaped battle blades in her hands and leaped into the void to look at Night's Sorrow. What trick? Hearing Fairy Yu Yan's words, Night's Sorrow was completely confused. You know the answer. If you didn't win young Master Ling Tian through the bet, how could your Divine Realm estate eliminate the Heavenly Lord estate? Fairy Yu Yin said disdainfully. Unreasonable. You'd better use the battle blades in your hands to do the talking. Night's Sorrow said indifferently. He felt that he didn't need to explain anything to her. I was right, wasn't I? Although I have the confidence to defeat you, I won't promise you anything. Fairy Yu Yin said with a cold smile and threw the battle blades in her hands into the void. Genius memorized this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3005. You really have a persecutory delusion. Why would I need to scheme against you? I'll just defeat you directly. Facing Fairy Yu Yan's attack, Night's Sorrow snorted calmly and waved his golden heavenly halberd to defend himself. He successfully blocked her attack. The Heavenly Monarch territory was completely defeated and scared away by him. There was no scheme at all. At this moment, he did not want to bet with her. Instead, he wanted to severely injure her severely and damage the Moonshadow Estate's morale. Furthermore, the Moonshadow Estate had lost their strongest person, Fairy Yu Yin. Their strength would definitely be greatly reduced. The realm of God's chances of winning would also increase because of this. You have some strength. No wonder you could defeat young Master Ling Tian. But it's not enough to defeat me with such strength. Fairy Yu Yin did look like a fairy in a fluttering dress. However, when it came to battle, she instantly turned into a female leopard. She fiercely threw out 2 crescent blades and threw them into the void. Then, she took out a 3-foot short sword from her spatial artifact. When the 2 blades rose to a height of 10,000 feet, they shot green, cylindrical flames at Night Sorrow below. Fairy Yuyan's figure flashed as well. Together with the 2 pillars of light, she attacked Yichang. Green flames. Seeing the 2 fire pillars shooting at him, Night Sorrow immediately used the void transition technique to dodge 1,000 feet away. After he created his movement technique, he was more and more familiar with it. He was almost at the point of perfection. Die. However, just as Night Sorrow dodged, Fairy Yuyan, whose movement technique was equally outstanding, caught up with him. Using her short sword, she slashed at the back of Night Sorrow's broad neck with a whoosh. Good sword. It's tricky. When Fairy Yuyan slashed with her sword, a thought flashed through Night Sorrow's mind. He immediately used the Divine Essence Trap Array. He locked his opponent in a narrow space and dodged the attack at the same time. What kind of move is this? Fairy Yuyan was surprised to be locked in the enclosed space of the Divine Essence Trap Array. Then, she used her short sword to attack the barrier in front of her. Forbidden Spear. At the same time, Night Sorrow suddenly fired a shot into the sealed space. This shot did not contain many attributes or rules, but it was fast, accurate, and ruthless. The killing power was extremely strong. After piercing through the barrier, it went straight for Fairy Yuyan's neck. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Very good. It seems like I'll have to use some tricks to fight you. Fairy Yuyan, who did not break out of the formation immediately, summoned a copper lock without hesitation. He silently chanted the incantation. After she recited the incantation, Night Sorrow immediately felt that the space around Fairy Yuyan was completely locked down. His attack landed squarely on a layer of solid barrier. When it was less than an inch away from Fairy Yuyan's neck, it was completely blocked. Spatial lock retract. After blocking Night Sorrow's attack, Fairy Yuyan immediately put away the spatial lock and summoned the 2 full moon blades outside to attack the sealed space. In an instant, the Divine Essence trapping formation was broken. Fire Beacon City. After escaping, Fairy Yuyan's expression became much more serious. Without further ado, she took out a scroll from her spatial Dharma artifact and threw it into the void. Night Sorrow immediately saw that his surroundings were burning with smoke. This smoke seems to be poisonous. Fairy Yuyan had just released the Fire Beacon painting when Night Sorrow felt a little dizzy and all his senses were blinded. Soon, even his eyes could not see anything clearly. Sea Serpent Eye activate. At this moment, Night Sorrow immediately activated the Sea Serpent Eye and observed the situation around him. The Sea Serpent Eye, which could see through illusions, could not see through the Fire Beacon painting in front of him. This painting is not simple. It's definitely one of the secret treasures of the Moon Shadow Estate. Unable to see through the Fire Beacon painting, and without any secret treasures to break it, Night Sorrow could not think of a countermeasure. In an instant, he stood rooted to the ground as if he had lost all his senses. This Night Sorrow is definitely going to lose. Without any secret treasures, he obviously can't break the Fire Beacon painting of our Moon Shadow Estate. Seeing that Night Sorrow was trapped by Fairy Yuyan's Fire Beacon painting, the Vice Chief of the Moon Shadow Estate, Yuhua, immediately revealed a smug smile. The other Vice Chief of the Sky Shadow Estate, Yu Miao, praised, "This painting was originally prepared by our Moon Shadow Estate for the geniuses of the 4 great sacred lands. Who would have thought that it would be used on Night Sorrow in advance? Even if he loses, he should be proud of it. Indeed, who would have thought that this Night Sorrow could actually force Fairy Yuyan into such a state in such a short period of time?" Yuhua nodded, acknowledging Night Sorrow's strength. As for the Divine World Estate, they were all worried. At this moment, Night Sorrow stood motionless on the spot, looking like a puppet that had lost control. As for Fairy Yuyan, she had already used a pair of blades to prepare a very powerful attack. Boom! By the time Fairy Yuyan unleashed this move, Yishan was already unable to react. His body was directly bombarded. After being hit by this move, Night Sorrow was sent flying uncontrollably like a leaf being swept away by a gust of wind. Night Sorrow. Seeing that Night Sorrow was sent flying, concubine Wu Lingfei immediately exclaimed. The other people in the Divine World Estate also became nervous. But soon, Night Sorrow slowly stood up. Because his body was tough enough, he wasn't seriously injured. After being sent flying, Night Sorrow closed his eyes and thought to himself, although I can't perceive her attack clearly, it's very likely that she launched it from the front. She knows that my perception is blocked, so there's no need to be sloppy. She must have attacked from the closest distance. Night Sorrow, whose eyes were closed, could actually summon the chaotic heavenly crystal beast to fight with him at this moment. However, the other party didn't summon her battle pet, and he didn't intend to either, so he gave up on this idea. He closed his eyes and continued to wait for the other party's attack to arrive. Boom! As expected, a moment later, Fairy Yuan once again sent Night Sorrow flying. This time, Night Sorrow's injuries were obviously more serious. Seeing this, the people in the Divine World Estate already wanted to help. However, Night Sorrow recovered for a moment and stood up again. You actually have such a tough body that you can withstand 2 of my moves in a row. But this is as far as you can go. Seeing that Night Sorrow stood up again, a cold smile appeared on Fairy Yuan's face. She roared coldly, "Die! Great Moonlight!" Fairy Yuan came from the Moon Shadow Estate, and the Moon Shadow Estate was named after the moon. Their ultimate skills were all related to the moon. After she finished roaring, a cold ray of moonlight shot out from between her eyebrows. The moonlight didn't look very thick, but the terrifying energy waves made everyone in the Divine World Estate tense up. If it weren't for Xiao Tianxian and the 10,000 Swords sect stopping her, concubine Wu Lingfei would have definitely stepped in to help. Clan M. Chapter 3006. Night Sorrow will definitely die. Our Moon Shadow Estate's secret treasure, the fire and smoke diagram, can block all cultivator senses. He won't be able to tell that Yu Yin has already used her ultimate killing move. Seeing Fairy Yu Yin use her strongest move, Supreme Yu Ling, who was watching from the outside, instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Although the battle between Night Sorrow and Fairy Yu Yin was short, she could already tell that Night Sorrow had already suppressed Fairy Yu Yan's strength. Hence, she was alarmed and frightened. At this moment, she relaxed. The other Supremes who had enmity with the godly realm instantly smiled with anticipation when they heard Supreme Yu Ling's words. All of them focused their gazes on the moonlight that Fairy Yu Yin shot out. As the saying goes, once, twice, but not thrice. You attacked 3 times in a row and didn't change your position. Aren't you underestimating me? Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't open his eyes. However, after he got up, he immediately activated the Trestrimsa Heaven's Battle Mystic technique and suddenly shot out the Thunder Reincarnation Spear in the direction he judged. This Thunder Reincarnation Spear was obviously different from the one he used when he was a middle-level dominator. It contained more Earth Supreme nomological laws. At the same time that he shot out this attack, Night Sorrow immediately roared the Gentle Dragon Roar. After the Thunder Reincarnation Spear was shot out, it immediately broke Fairy Yu Yan's strongest move. The Gentle Dragon Roar that followed directly injured Fairy Yu Yan's Divine Soul. After her Divine Soul was injured, Fairy Yu Yan lost control of the fire and smoke diagram in an instant, and Night Sorrow also broke free. After reopening his eyes, Night Sorrow wasn't willing to give Yu Yan another chance to use the fire and smoke diagram. In a flash, he shot out the Thunder Reincarnation Spear at her again. Night Sorrow could shoot out the Thunder Reincarnation Spear again in an instant, but Yu Yan didn't have the ability to use the Great Moonlight technique at all and didn't know how to block it. Hence, she summoned the Space Lock again to defend against this move. Boom! This time, Yi Shan's attack failed again, but he had succeeded in closing the distance between the two of them. He took the opportunity to execute the Divine Essence trapping formation, locking them in the same small space and engaging in close combat. Fairy Wei-Yin, who was trapped in the Divine Essence trapping array, was not strong in close combat compared to opponents of the same level. Furthermore, her Divine Essence was injured. How could she be a match for Night Sorrow? She was quickly suppressed. Night Sorrow, good job. Seeing that Night Sorrow had managed to suppress the #1 person of the Moon Shadow Estate, Fairy Yu-Yin, despite being heavily injured, the 10,000 Swords sect could not help but roar in anger. Just now, when Yi Shang was being suppressed, he was like Wu Lingfei, suppressing his desire to attack. At this moment, the gloominess in his heart was completely dispelled. Xiao Tianxian, who was beside the 10,000 Swords sect, also breathed a sigh of relief. As for Wu Lingfei, she didn't dare to relax. She was worried that Fairy Wei-Yin still had other tricks up her sleeve, and her worries quickly became reality. After being completely suppressed, Fairy Wei-Yin roared unwillingly, "Moon Spirit Battle Pet, come out! Howl!" After Fairy Wei-Yin finished her roar, a huge Supreme Battle Pet immediately appeared in the enclosed space. After this Battle Pet appeared, it immediately used its huge body to directly open the enclosed space. Then, this Moon Spirit Battle Pet expanded to the size of a mountain in the void. With a ferocious roar, it threw a punch at Night Sorrow. You really have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. When a Moon Spirit Battle Pet threw a punch at Night Sorrow could tell that this Moon Spirit Battle Pet was an upper-level Supreme. It was much stronger than the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast. Therefore, Night Sorrow did not summon the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast immediately. Instead, he raised his hand and fired a shot, using his tiny body to withstand the blow from the sky. At the same time, he formed a seal with his left hand and threw a palm strike at Fairy Wei-Yin, who was cooperating with the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Boom! Boom! After 2 consecutive loud bangs, Fairy Wei-Yin was directly sent flying by Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, on the other hand, were both knocked back a certain distance by the recoil. This Night Sorrow's senses were blinded by the fire and smoke picture, but he still managed to persevere. At this moment, he defeated the upper-level Moon Spirit Battle Pet. This is simply unbelievable. Seeing that Night Sorrow was actually so dauntless, Moon Shadow's deputy chief, Moon Hua, said in disbelief. On the side, Yu-Yin said, "Everyone, get ready to attack. We can't just watch Fairy Wei-Yin be defeated or even killed. Yes, everyone, get ready to attack." Moon Hua also gave the order. Hearing this, everyone from the Moon Shadow Estate condensed their divine domains, ready to attack at any time. Everyone, get ready to attack. Those from the Moon Shadow Estate can't hold back anymore. Seeing that everyone from the Moon Shadow Estate had condensed their divine domains, Xiao Tianxian immediately instructed. However, just when both sides were eager to give it a try, Fairy Wei-Yin said coldly, "Don't panic. Night Sorrow is no match for me and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet." With that said, Fairy Wei-Yin flew to the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's head, cut her fingertip with a short sword, and dripped her blood on the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn. After absorbing a few drops of blood, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn gradually turned blood red. After the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn turned blood red, it roared crazily and then went berserk. Its strength was improved by another half a level, reaching the peak of the Celestial State. I don't believe that you can withstand the attack of a peak Celestial State. After the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's strength was improved, Fairy Wei-Yin looked at Night Sorrow with cold eyes. At this moment, she was standing on the head of the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, relying solely on the Moon Spirit Battle Pet to attack Night Sorrow. She was no longer attacking. Whether or not I can withstand it, we'll know after we try. Facing Fairy Wei-Yin, who was controlling the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, Night Sorrow didn't panic at all. The Battle Pet in front of him was strong, but he wasn't completely powerless. What Night Sorrow was afraid of was the fire and smoke diagram, but it was obvious that Fairy Wei-Yin couldn't use it for the time being. Otherwise, she would have used it long ago. Moon Spirit Battle Pet, tear him apart. Fairy Wayan ordered coldly after Night Sorrow spoke. Roar. Upon receiving the order, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet immediately attacked Night Sorrow ferociously. Undone, come on and fight with me. In the face of a peak celestial state Moon Spirit Battle Pet, Night Sorrow didn't dare to be careless. He immediately summoned the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. At this moment, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was already an intermediate celestial state, but it was definitely weaker than Yu Ling's battle pet. We don't seem to be its match. This guy is probably comparable to the holy spirits on the 32nd level. After being summoned, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said in horror, "It can't maintain this kind of combat power forever. As long as we wear it out in this state, we will definitely win." Night Sorrow said fearlessly. Then, holding the golden heavenly halberd, he leaped onto the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's head. Clan M. Chapter 3007. Although the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was not as strong as the moon spirit battle pet in front of him, its size was not inferior at all. Standing on this behemoth, Night Sorrow and Fairy Yu Yin instantly reached the same height. The difference was that he was the main force of the battle at this moment, while Fairy Yu Yin was completely relying on the moon spirit battle pet. What a good battle! The people of the Divine Realm and Moon Shadow territories, as well as the Celestials watching from the outside world, were all watching the battle nervously. At this moment, Feng Wuji suddenly appeared on the deck and said with interest, "Sir, who do you think will win?" After Feng Wuji appeared, Dao Wui asked carefully. He gradually felt that he could not see through Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow is stronger than Fairy Yu Yin, but the Moon Spirit Battle Pet is stronger than Night Sorrow's battle pet. It's hard to say who will win this battle. Feng Wuji said and continued, "If you want to know the result, just continue watching." Yes. Dao Wui nodded and continued to watch. At the same time as Dao Wui nodded, Night Sorrow was already standing on the head of the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and suddenly shot out a reincarnation spear art. This spear went straight for Fairy Yu Yan's divine ocean. Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Seeing that Night Sorrow's attack was going straight for her divine ocean, Fairy Yu Yin did not attack herself. Instead, she ordered the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Roar! The Moon Spirit Battle Pet, which received the order, immediately roared and stretched out a palm, slapping towards Night Sorrow and his golden heavenly halberd. Even though Night Sorrow blasted out a huge light with his golden heavenly halberd, it was still very small compared to the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. However, in the face of the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's huge palm, Night Sorrow did not panic. He did not believe that the other party's palm could be harder than his golden heavenly halberd. He roared, "If you like to fight head-on, then come. I'll help you." Although the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was obviously not as strong as the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, its ferocity was also stimulated after the battle began. After sending a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, he waved his tentacles and attacked Fairy Yu Yin. When Night Sorrow and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet clashed, its tentacles continuously whipped the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's head. However, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn emitted a faint glow. The glow seemed weak, but it blocked all the chaotic heavenly crystal beast attacks. Fairy Yu Yin did not move at all. Night Sorrow, who had suffered a small loss when fighting against the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, but his golden heavenly halberd was not damaged, was certain that he could not move at all when Fairy Yu Yin was controlling the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Boom! While Night Sorrow was pondering, Moon Spirit's attack landed on the chaotic heavenly crystal beast tentacle. It staggered from the impact. However, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet didn't stop after its successful attack. It seized the opportunity to grab one of the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's tentacles and threw it into the void. Then, it used the horn on its head to shoot out a ray of terrifying moonlight. Night Sorrow, save me. This guy's attack is too powerful. I'm no match for it. Seeing the terrifying moonlight shooting toward it, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately roared for help. "Don't worry, I'm here." At this moment, Knight's Sorrow suddenly roared. After thinking for a moment, he felt that there was only one way to save the chaotic heavenly crystal beast at this moment, and that was to attack the way to rescue the Zhao. Without hesitation, he once again used the golden heavenly halberd to shoot out the thunder reincarnation spear at Fairy Yuan, who was above the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's head. It also broke the light from the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn. "Moon Spirit Battle Pet, save me!" Fairy Yuan immediately shouted anxiously when Knight's Sorrow broke the protective light from the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's horn. The Moon Spirit Battle Pet, which was originally attacking the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, immediately controlled the light it shot out and gave up on attacking the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Instead, it shot at Knight's Sorrow. After this ray of light shot out, it immediately sent Knight's Sorrow flying. What a powerful attack! However, we've already found your weakness. Fairy Yuan, wait for your death. Knight's Sorrow was attacked by the Moon Spirit Battle Pet, but he was not seriously injured. After catching his breath, he sent a voice transmission to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. "Fairy Yuan can't move at all at this moment. She's a complete burden. We're basically 2 against 1. This Moon Spirit Battle Pet can't handle it. But I really can't withstand its attack," the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said helplessly. Although it did not retreat this time, it could not withstand the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's attack at all. "Then leave it to me. You deal with the immobile Fairy Yuan." After saying that, Knight's Sorrow took out a divine evasion talisman from his spatial dermic artifact to increase his speed. Then he took out a few offensive divine talismans. They blasted towards Fairy Yuan from all directions. "Got it." Seeing Knight's Sorrow throw out divine talismans consecutively, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's eyes lit up. It controlled its many tentacles to attack Fairy Yuan. It did not use its full strength in its attack. It was completely harassing and did not fight head-on with the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. After Knight's Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast cooperated to attack, Fairy Yuan's face immediately showed signs of difficulty. Although the Moon Spirit Battle Pet was telepathically connected to her, it was still badly harassed. Knight's Sorrow's attacks also began to become both real and illusory, making it difficult for them to figure out what was real and what was not. After 100 breaths of time, Fairy Yuan suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The Moon Spirit Battle Pet's aura also dropped to the upper supreme level again. Its strength has dropped. I might be able to fight it now. Seeing that the Moon Spirit Battle Pet's aura had dropped to the upper supreme level and was very chaotic, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately shouted. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately let out a loud roar. Although it was an intermediate supremacy, it had absorbed a large amount of earthly supremacy's laws of nature and essence, so its battle prowess was almost equivalent to an upper supremacy's. After roaring, it completely exploded and attacked the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. At this moment, Knight's Sorrow did not deal with the Moon Spirit Battle Pet. Instead, he attacked Fairy Yuan, who could already move. After fighting for a while, Fairy Yuan said unwillingly, "I didn't expect you to have grown to this extent. However, your personal victory does not represent the territory's victory. Warriors of the Moon Shadow Estate, kill him." Kill. Moonfire and the other 2 deputy chiefs of the Moon Shadow Estate immediately led their men and charged forward. They wanted to help Fairy Yuan besiege Knight's Sorrow. At this moment, the Myriad Sword sect, Wu Lingfei, and the others, who could no longer hold back, also rushed into the void one after another. "Today, the Divine Realm will win, and you will be the first to fall." Knight's Sorrow looked back at the people of the Divine Realm and roared confidently. Then, he used the Void Transition technique again and waved the golden heavenly halberd to pursue Fairy Yuan. On the other side, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and the Moon Spirit Battle Pet were fighting crazily. "Let's go help the fairy." Seeing that Fairy Yuan was being chased by Knight's Sorrow in a sorry state, The two deputy chiefs of the Moon Shadow Estate all rushed over to help. You came at the right time. Fighting 1 against 3, Knight Sorrow did not panic. Instead, he began to explode completely. Chapter 3008. 1 against 3, and you still dare to boast so shamelessly. You are really courting death. Knight Sorrow faced Fairy Yu Yin and the two deputy leaders of the Moon Shadow Estate, Yu Miao and Yu Hua, alone. He was still as domineering as ever. Yu Miao immediately shouted angrily and shot a dazzling arrow at Knight Sorrow. This arrow carried with it a clear and cold moonlight, as well as a chilling intent. At the same time, Yu Hua also cooperated with Yu Miao and launched a sneak attack on Knight Sorrow from the side. Fairy Yu Yin, who had been slightly injured, took the opportunity to swallow 3 crystal-clear elixirs that contained dense mist. You are the one courting death. I, Knight Sorrow, am not someone you could stop. At this moment, Knight Sorrow formed a seal with his left hand and caught the arrow shot by Yu Hua. Then, he threw it at Yu Hua, who was attacking him. After using the arrow to neutralize Yu Miao's attack, Knight Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and shot the forbidden spear at Yu Miao. This spear contained more earthly, sovereign essence than before. In comparison, the forbidden attribute was not as outstanding. Not good. Yu Miao quickly crushed the identity token. He is not someone you can fight against. Fairy Yu Yin, who had just swallowed the elixir, saw Knight Sorrow attacking Yu Miao and immediately shouted. As the proud daughter of the Moon Shadow Estate, she was fully equipped with the best equipment. However, she was no match for Knight Sorrow in a head-on battle, let alone Yu Miao. What? Yu Miao was shocked when he heard Fairy Yu Yan's reminder. However, it was too late for him to take the identity token. I will kill you. After Yu Hua roared, Knight Sorrow directly pierced through the void with his spear. This spear pierced through Yu Miao's elixir field and grabbed his spirit sea. Let him go. Fairy Yu Yin suddenly shouted when Knight Sorrow was about to crush Yu Miao's spirit. Let him go and enslave him. Knight Sorrow looked at Fairy Yu Yin and said coldly. This Fairy Yu Yin was definitely not a kind person. Hence, he was not prepared to show mercy. If you let him go, I will give you the fire beacon smoke diagram. Fairy Yu Yin hesitated for a moment before speaking. After saying that, she was afraid that Knight Sorrow didn't understand. So she explained, the fire beacon smoke diagram is the picture scroll that is blocking your perception. Fairy, you can't. No matter what, we can't give the fire beacon smoke map to him. Hearing Fairy Yu Yin's words, Yu Miao immediately roared. Yes, Fairy, the fire and beacon smoke diagram is a secret treasure bestowed by the higher-ups. You absolutely cannot give it away. The other deputy chief of the Moon Shadow Estate, Yu Hua, also advised. Shut up. Fairy Yu Yin scolded the two and continued to look at Knight Sorrow. How about it? Do you dare trade? Yes. Swear an oath to the heavens. Knight Sorrow thought for a while and said indifferently. He guessed that Fairy Yu Yin was plotting something, but he was not afraid at all. Good. Yu Yin swear. After Yu Yin swore, he immediately took out the fire beacon smoke diagram and threw it at Knight Sorrow. Go back. After receiving the fire beacon smoke diagram, Knight Sorrow directly used the power of merit to seal it and threw it into the grotto heaven. He did not even look at it. Then, he once again attacked Yu Hua with his spear. Quick, use the 9 moons chain formation. At this moment, Fairy Yu Yin suddenly roared. Okay, yes. When Yu Miao and Yu Hua heard this, they immediately cooperated with Fairy Yu Yin and attacked Knight Sorrow. The 3 of them each released 2 clones and joined forces to neutralize Knight Sorrow's attack. Although the fire beacon smoke diagram is incomparably precious, if we don't exchange it for you, we won't be able to use the 9 moon chain formation. If that happens, our Moon Shadow Estate will lose. This is unacceptable. I'm doing this to cut my losses. After helping Yu Miao block Knight Sorrow's attack, Fairy Yu Yin mocked Knight Sorrow and said, Today, you coveted the fire and beacon smoke diagram. You can obtain a secret treasure, but you will ruin the victory in your hands. Let's fight again. She's a woman who is decisive, but you overestimated your own strength. Soon, you will understand that you went for wool and came home shorn. After saying this, Night Sorrow activated the sea serpent's eye and waved the golden heavenly halberd in his hand again. At this moment, Myriad Sword Sect, Wu Lingfei, and the rest were fighting against 40 people. Although there were no top experts among the 40 people, they were still under a lot of pressure. Hence, he did not want to delay any longer. 9 moons, chain formation, new moon. At this moment, Fairy Wei-Yin did not waste any more time. She shouted loudly and cooperated with Yu Miao and Yu Hua to attack Night Sorrow with a unique skill. Their cooperation was very similar to the joint attack formation of the Realm of Gods. However, there were only 3 real bodies and the other 6 were clones. Hence, 3 of the attacks were very powerful, but the other 6 attacks were much weaker in comparison. Night Sorrow, who had activated the Sea Serpent's eye, observed for a while and discovered this problem. He used the Void Transition technique to continuously dodge the real body's attacks and break the 6 clones' attacks one by one, successfully breaking their attack. After that, Night Sorrow attacked Yu Miao again. The strange thing was that the current Yu Miao seemed as if her Dantian was not injured and was very fierce in battle. Moreover, Yu Yin and Yu Hua had become one with him. The 3 people and 6 clones advanced and retreated in unison. It was very difficult for Night Sorrow to break them one by one. When he attacked Yu Miao, Yu Yin and Yu Hua would immediately cooperate and attack him. Moreover, their attacks were obviously enhanced by the formation, increasing their combat strength by a lot. Her Dantian is broken, and she can still fight in her peak state. What kind of secret technique is she using? Night Sorrow thought curiously while fighting with them. However, just as this thought flashed through his mind, he threw it to the back of his mind and thought about how to break the formation. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow immediately used the Soft Dragon Roar and launched a soul attack on the 3 of them. However, this move did not have a very obvious effect. It's not that easy to break through our defense. Night Sorrow's continuous attacks did not yield any results, so Fairy Yu Yin immediately ridiculed him. Then she continued, 9 moons chain formation, full moon. In an instant, above the 3 people and 6 clones, they were all enveloped by a pillar of light that reached the sky. Then, these rays of light all fused together, forming an incomparably huge full moon in the void. After this full moon appeared, it immediately shot out rays of cold moonlight at Night Sorrow. We can't continue this stalemate. At this moment, Night Sorrow used his soul power to investigate the situation of the others. Although Wu Lingfei and the others had the advantage in terms of individual strength, they were helpless because there were too many of them. They had already been suppressed by the other party and were retreating together. The anxious Night Sorrow faced the endless moonlight and directly threw out the golden heavenly halberd. Soon, the golden heavenly halberd turned into a line and shot towards the full moon in the void. Genius remembered this site's address in a second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3009. After the golden heavenly halberd was thrown out, it immediately traversed the void and hit the full moon. Boom! After the full moon was hit by the golden heavenly halberd, it immediately shattered into 9 pieces. The 9 light pillars returned to the bodies of the 3 people and 6 shadows. You guys are all bark and no bite. After retrieving the golden heavenly halberd, even Night Sorrow felt a little surprised that the other party's move was so easily broken. Not good. Although I used a secret technique, Yu Miao can't hold on anymore. The full moon was broken. Fairy Yu Yan's expression immediately changed. Yu Miao used a secret technique to forcefully recover his Dantian in a short period of time, but that was a heaven-defying action after all and could not last long. Fairy, what should we do then? When Yu Hua heard this, He immediately looked at Yu Miao worriedly and realized that he could not hold on anymore. But even standing was difficult. Meet up with the others and use the advantage of numbers. In terms of individual combat power, Knight Sorrow should not be inferior to those geniuses of the 4 great sacred lands. We can only rely on our collective strength to win, Fairy Yu Yin said helplessly. At this point in the battle, she no longer had the courage to face Knight Sorrow alone. Those words of wanting to take Knight Sorrow as a slave had also become a contemptible joke. After sending a voice transmission to Yu Hua, Fairy Yu Yin sent a voice transmission to Yu Miao. I understand that you have tried your best. Enter my space grotto heaven. With me here, I will protect you. In fact, Yu Miao could use the identity token, but he felt that it was useful to stay. Fairy, I am useless. At this moment, Yu Miao was completely defeated. Although he was unwilling, he could no longer gather divine essence power. Let's go and meet up with the others. Fairy Yu Yin kept Yu Miao in her space grotto heaven and immediately wanted to escape to meet up with the others from Sky Shadow Estate. However, how could Knight Sorrow let them do as they wished so easily? He immediately used his movement technique and chased after them. Soon, he blocked Fairy Yu Yin and Yu Miao. Seeing that she could not break through Knight Sorrow's blockade, Fairy Yu Yan's face immediately revealed a trace of despair. She had never thought that the unremarkable Knight Sorrow back then could raise his strength so much in the battle for Providence. Looks like the Moon Shadow Estate is doomed and will soon be eliminated. Seeing this, Feng Wuji, who was watching from the outside, said teasingly, Master Wuji, the duel is not over yet. Our Moon Shadow Estate still has a chance. The moment she heard those words, Supreme Yuling replied indignantly, Oh, what other special methods does your Moon Shadow Estate have? Feng Wuji asked coldly. Yu Yan is the holy maiden of my Moon Shadow Estate, Supreme Yuling said slowly. Feng Wuji's brows raised when he heard this, and he said, So that's how it is. But isn't your Moon Shadow Estate paying a huge price for rashly utilizing that move? For victory, in order to stop the Heavenly Realm's territory. I believe that Yu Yin and the others would make the same choice. Other than that, our Moon Shadow Estate has no other means to fight against the God Realm's territories. The Firmament's territory has managed to hold on for so long without losing a single person. They're no longer the same fish on the chopping block as before. Supreme Yuling's tone was icy cold as she looked at the people of the Moon Shadow region with a fervent gaze. Then, under their watchful eyes, Knight Sorrow injured Fairy Yu Yin once again, and Yu's arm was torn off. The 2 people who were intercepted were in a pitiful state. Fairy, we're really no match for him. Why don't we use that move? After being sent flying consecutively, Yu had already lost the confidence to fight against Knight Sorrow. He suddenly sent a voice transmission to Fairy Yu Miao. No, I'd rather give up on the battle for Providence than do that. When Fairy Yu Miao heard that, her eyes were instantly shrouded in mist. We can't give up. No matter who we lose to, we can't lose to the God Realm's territories. Yu Hui said agitatedly, and then shouted loudly, Everyone of the Moon Shadow Estate, listen to my command. Sacrifice. In order to win, sacrifice yourself. After shouting, seeing that everyone had reacted, Yu was shouted again. At this moment, almost everyone in the Moon Shadow Estate looked at Fairy Yu Miao, wanting to know what she meant. Fairy, what are you hesitating for? If you hesitate any longer, we'll be eliminated. Nod your head. Yu also locked his gaze on Fairy Yu Yan's face. Sacrifice? After hearing Yu shout and seeing everyone's reaction, Knight Sorrow immediately guessed what was going on. Instinctively, he waved his golden heavenly halberd and stabbed it toward Fairy Yu Yan. At this moment, Fairy Yu Yan's face was filled with sorrow, and she was completely useless. What are you waiting for? Sacrifice yourself. This time, Yu was shouted and directly sacrificed himself, turning into a ray of moonlight and entering Fairy Yu Yan's body. For Fairy Yu, for victory, sacrifice yourself. At this moment, The others in the Moon Shadow Estate also began to sacrifice themselves. Those more than 40 Dominator Realm cultivators all sacrificed themselves tragically to help Fairy Yu Yen. If I were you, I'd crush my identity tag. Yu Yen, who had absorbed more than 40 rays of energy, stood on the spot, her eyes completely cold. Night Sorrow saw this and sneered. When there's a battle, there will be sacrifices. They used their own deaths in exchange for the victory of the Moon Shadow Estate. There's nothing bad about that. Fairy Yu Yen, who had absorbed a large amount of energy, had already reached the peak combat strength of a Moon Spirit Battle pet. Her tone was cold with a hint of madness. An icy divine domain bloomed around her, and then she said, "Let me introduce you again, Moon Shadow Estate's holy maiden, Yu Yen." After saying this, she looked up to the sky and howled. "Moon Spirit Battle Pet, return to your position." Owu, the summoned Moon Spirit Battle Pet, which was already in a white-hot battle with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, immediately roared, broke away from the battle, and flew to Yu Yan's side. "Looks like we're going to have a tough battle." Looking at Yu Yan, whose aura had already reached the peak of the supreme stage, Night Sorrow's brows revealed a trace of seriousness. "It's good to have a tough battle. It just so happens that I haven't exercised my muscles and bones just now." Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Myriad Sword Sect said carelessly. Although he said that he, who was holding the heaven-slaying sword, was not careless at all and was vigilant and on guard. "We can finally stand side by side again." A cold smile appeared on Wu Lingfei's face. As for the others in the heavenly realm, they all understood that the Holy Maiden had absorbed the energy of dozens of dominators and had become incomparably powerful. She was very difficult to deal with and needed everyone to attack together. "You can all die side by side." After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, the Holy Maiden smiled contemptuously and roared, "The people of the Moon Shadow Estate will not die in vain. All of you must die with them." "You want us to die with them?" "That depends on whether you have the ability to do so." Night Sorrow snorted and continued, "Everyone, follow me and kill her. Clan." Chapter 3010. You want to kill me? Haha, you're overestimating yourself. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the Holy Maiden of the Moon Evolution once again smiled disdainfully. Then, a crescent-shaped scepter appeared in her hand. She held the scepter in her hand and struck it at each of the people in the divine realm. These attacks looked very simple, but their power was frighteningly great. Night Sorrow observed with the sea serpent's eye and warned, "Be careful, everyone. You can't take this attack head-on." "Don't worry, we won't be that careless." Murong Jinlu glanced at Night Sorrow and used his movement technique to dodge the Moon Flow Saintess attack. However, he didn't expect that this attack could track him. No matter how he tried to dodge, he couldn't shake it off. Break! Everyone in the God Realm's territory, including the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, was completely suppressed by this attack. Only Night Sorrow shouted and used his golden heavenly halberd to break the Moon Flow Saintess attack. Then, he immediately went to help the others break through this attack. In the end, they managed to block this attack without any mishap. A casual strike from the Saintess, and you're already like this. Now, I'll use my ultimate skill. Let's see how you guys block it. The Holy Maiden of the Moon Evolution Holy Maiden saw the reaction of the people of the heavenly realm and laughed wildly. She formed a seal with both hands and threw out the scepter that was floating in front of her. She didn't use this move on Yishang, but on Yuan Fengxue, who was slightly weaker. "Get into formation. Everyone, let's resist this attack together," Xiao Tianxian cautiously shouted. Immediately, apart from Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, the other 9 people in the God Realm's territory immediately executed a joint attack. He used this attack to counter the Holy Maiden's attack. However, although the 9 of them were able to fight to a draw against the 40-plus sovereigns of the Moon Shadow Estate, they were still able to fight to a standstill. However, the Lunar Evolution Saintess had completely fused with the energy of those sovereigns. Her strength had risen to a terrifying level. Bang! The 9 people who had formed the formation were all sent flying. None of them were lightly injured. Hundun, let's hold her back and let the others recover. Knight Sorrow probed with his spiritual energy and confirmed that although Wu Lingfei and the others were injured, their lives were not in danger. As long as he swallowed some medicinal pills, he would recover very quickly. He immediately joined forces with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast to fight the lunar evolution, Holy Maiden, and the moon spirit battle pet. However, after accepting the sacrifice, the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution seemed to be invincible. Although he wasn't an earthly sovereign, his attacks were getting stronger and stronger, to the point that he was unrivaled. Very quickly, Knight Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast were suppressed. Not long after, the two of them suffered heavy injuries. You will witness the death of your companion with your own eyes, just like me. After sending Yi Shang flying again, the holy daughter of the Moon Evolution sect coldly snorted and once again attacked the other people from the God Realm. No, the Moonflow Saintess was about to attack Wu Lingfei and the others. Knight Sorrow immediately used the 33 Heavens secret combat technique as a foundation, burning his blood essence. He raised his speed to the fastest and used the golden heavenly halberd to block the opponent's attack. Your speed is not bad, but how much blood essence do you have? The Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution smiled cruelly when she saw that Knight Sorrow was burning his blood essence. The fact that she had accepted everyone's sacrifice had driven her into a state of complete insanity. She sneered and struck out again. It's enough to stop you. Facing this attack, Knight Sorrow stood up again to block the attack. At the same time, everyone in the celestial realm burned their bloodline power, ready to fight to the death. But the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution strength was so terrifying that it was difficult to resist. Knight Sorrow could barely resist it. Although the others burned their bloodline power, they couldn't resist at all. Then, Knight Sorrow stood in front of everyone and continuously blocked the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution's attacks. No, this can't go on. Everyone, think about it. What should we do? Just one more step, and our celestial realm will be able to make history. If we lose like this, it's really not acceptable. Wan Jianzong, who had transformed into a giant sword, shouted unwillingly. Xiao Tianxian and Wu Lingfei both looked at Knight Sorrow, their eyes filled with unwillingness. Hold on. If we can't think of a solution, then we'll try our best to hold on. Although she's strong now, she can't maintain this state forever. Yi Shan roared and continued to stand in front of everyone, blocking the attacks of the Moon Evolution Saintess. He fell down again and again, but he stood up again every time. Seeing Knight Sorrow's performance, the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution sneered. My power will dissipate, but it'll last longer than you think. Hee hee. The Holy Maiden of Moon Shadow Territory absorbs the power of the Moon God from the sacrifice of our people, and she'll last for a month. There's no suspense in this battle. Seeing this, Supreme Yuling's brows relaxed completely, as if the sacrifice had nothing to do with her. Congratulations, Supreme Yuling. Congratulations to the Moon Shadow Territory for advancing to the top 8. This divine world territory is really hard to deal with. Besides the 4 sacred grounds, only the Moon Shadow Territory can suppress it. Dao Wui said enviously. Congratulations to our Moon Shadow Territory has indirectly taken revenge for your Dao World Territory. Supreme Yuling said with a smile, and then she watched the battle again. At that moment, Knight Sorrow was still trying his best to block the Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution's attacks. He didn't know that the Holy Maiden of Moon God's power could last for a month. The Holy Maiden of Moon Evolution enjoyed the pleasure of this abuse, so she kept attacking Knight Sorrow. What should we do? What should we do? Wan Jianzong asked when he saw the Holy Maiden attacking Knight Sorrow continuously. Does our Divine World Territory have a sacrificial technique? Why don't we just sacrifice it to Brother Yi? Let Brother Yi kill him. As far as I know, Our divine world territory doesn't have such a secret technique. Xiao Tianxian shook his head and said helplessly, Your divine world territory doesn't have it, but I have a similar secret technique here. At that moment, Evil Sword Earthly Supremacy, who had been silent, suddenly sent a voice transmission to Wan Jianzong. Evil Sword, what do we need to do? Wan Jianzong asked excitedly. It's very simple. I just need to teach you the secret technique's chant. However, this sacrificial technique won't kill you directly like the people of the Moon Shadow territory. However, you won't be able to use your divine essence force and spiritual energy for 30,000 years. Are you willing to do that? Yes, of course. Wait for me to ask the others. Wan Jianzong said. Then, he sent a voice transmission to everyone, including Night Sorrow, to tell them what Evil Sword Earthly Supremacy had said. Can we trust his words? What if our powers are sacrificed to him? Xiao Tianxian asked doubtfully after Wan Jianzong finished speaking. The others also voiced their concerns. If what Evil Sword Earthly Supremacy had said was true, they were willing to sacrifice 30,000 years of divine essence force and spiritual energy. Clan M. Chapter 30:11. It shouldn't be a problem. You need to rely on Brother Yi to rebuild his body. There's no need for him to harm us at this time. Thousand Sword Sect said. Moreover, Evil Sword has entered Brother Ye's space grotto heaven. Even if he has any tricks up his sleeve, they won't be of any use. Therefore, there's no need for him to harm us. That seems to make sense. Murong Guelu nodded. Good? Then don't hesitate anymore. Let's do it now. With every second we delay, Yi Sorrow will be in more danger. Xiao Tianxian said seriously. Then, he started to learn Evil Sword Sect's secret skill with the others. This secret skill was not difficult to master. In about 10 breaths of time, everyone had mastered it. At this time, Thousand Sword Sect was once again defeated by Night Sorrow. Roar, he shouted. Brother Yi, absorb our strength. Night Sorrow, you have to bring our strength to defeat the Moon Shadow Estate and enter the top 8. Create history for the realm of gods. Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow with a complicated expression. To any cultivator, not being able to use their divine origin force and divine soul for 30,000 years was an unbearable torture. However, she did not hesitate or back down. Yes, Night Sorrow, go and create history. Yuan Fengshue's eyes were filled with tears. She was very excited. However, giving up 30,000 years was not enough to make her afraid. Stop talking. Hurry up and start. If you have anything to say it after we win. At this time, Xiao Tianxian interrupted everyone who was about to speak. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, Don't hesitate. Start. Okay, I will use the power of the estate to enter the top 8. I will not disappoint everyone. Otherwise, my divine soul will be destroyed. Night Sorrow, who had distanced himself from the Moon Shadow Saintess, knew the price that everyone would have to pay. However, under such circumstances, he did not have time to be pretentious. He roared and raised his arm to accept everyone's sacrifice. In an instant, the power that everyone in the realm of gods had sacrificed turned into light and entered his body. After absorbing the power, Night Sorrow roared to the sky and kept everyone in his space grotto heaven. He then looked at the Moon Shadow Saintess and said, Let's fight again. I didn't expect the realm of gods to have a sacrifice. The way the Holy Maiden looked at Yishang was very different now. She was originally arrogant, but now there was a trace of fear in her eyes. After all, under normal circumstances, she was no match for Yishang. There are many things that you can't imagine, but I'm Smizes. Die. Night Sorrow roared and once again used the 33 Heavens Battle Mystic technique, pushing his strength to the peak. After absorbing so much energy, even though his body was very strong, he still felt a lot of pressure. Without the slightest hesitation, he immediately struck out. His. This spear was something that Yi Shang had recently comprehended, and it relied on the energy of an Earth sovereign. Supreme Reincarnation Spear? It doesn't seem like much. Facing Night Sorrow's Supreme Reincarnation Spear, the Moon Shadow Saintess once again unleashed a fierce power and attacked. Descent of the Moon Goddess. In an instant, the power around her gathered in the air and formed the shadow of the Moon Goddess. After the shadow took shape, it immediately charged at Yi Shang. Kill those who block my way. Kill those who block my way. Night Sorrow roared and pierced through the Moon Shadow Saintess's attack with his golden heavenly halberd. Not only did he pierce through the Moon Goddess's shadow, but he also pierced through Yu Yan's body. Yu Yan's face turned ashen the moment Night Sorrow pierced through his body. She hadn't expected that Yi Sorrow's strength would rise to such a level after absorbing the sacrificial power of 9 cultivators. She also did not expect to be defeated by him in one move. Moon Goddess Battle Pet. Take me in, run. The moment her body was pierced, Yu Yan understood that she could not fight Night Sorrow anymore. She immediately gave an order to her Moon Spirit Battle Pet. She wanted to escape and then come back. She's a woman who knows when to yield. But what's the use of that? Night Sorrow's anger exploded at the thought of the 9 cultivators who had sacrificed themselves. He used the Void Transition technique to chase after the Moon Goddess Battle Pet the moment it escaped. Night Sorrow's strength was enough to fight against most of the top Supremes, so his speed was not slow either. Soon, he caught up with the Moon Goddess Battle Pet. Yu Yan saw that it was difficult for her to escape and immediately said charmingly, "If you leave the realm of the gods and let the Moon Shadow Estate pass, I can give myself to you. Also, the Moon Shadow Estate will confer you the title of Saint. You will be second only to the Saint." "I don't care." After Yu Yan spoke, Night Sorrow did not hesitate at all and attacked her with a Thunder Reincarnation Spear. As for the Supreme Reincarnation Spear, it consumed too much energy, so Night Sorrow did not dare to use it continuously. "Bastard, you're forcing me to die together with you." With no way to escape and Night Sorrow's stubbornness, Yu Yan roared with a gloomy face and ordered, "Moon Goddess Battle Pet, self-destruct. Help me kill Night Sorrow." "How?" The Moon Goddess Battle Pet roared and charged toward Night Sorrow. Yu Yan's eyes were completely filled with determination. Obviously, she was not only going to let the Moon Goddess Battle Pet self-destruct, but also prepared to do so herself. Chaos Run. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast had just caught up. Night Sorrow sensed its aura and immediately warned it. Hearing this, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was stunned for a moment, then its eyes lit up and it fled. As for Night Sorrow, he looked at Yu Yan without fear and said, "If you want to self-destruct, I, Night Sorrow, will never back down. Even if you could die together with me, my battle pet is still in the realm of the gods. It will be judged as the winner. As for you, it's impossible for you to scare me away. It's impossible for me to even take half a step back." After he finished speaking, Night Sorrow activated his god domain once more, and he even utilized the energy of virtue. He activated his defense to the strongest state. He also set up a divine essence trapping formation and a merit trapping formation around him. Faced with the threat of Yu Yan's self-destruction, he did not retreat at all. His determination to risk his life was no less than Yu Yan's. This choice seemed silly, but if he retreated, Yu Yan would definitely take the opportunity to escape. That way, she, who had many tricks up her sleeve, might be able to turn things around. So be it, I'm not afraid. Yu Yan, who was definitely inferior to Night Sorrow in terms of strength, was even more determined to self-destruct when he saw how determined Night Sorrow was. With a roar, he prepared to self-destruct with the Moon Goddess Battle Pet against Night Sorrow. "Holy Lady, you can start over if you lose. There's no need to pay with your life. Besides, even if you self-destruct, you can't stop the realm of the gods from winning. Forget it." At this moment, Supreme Yuling ignored the rules of the Battle of Providence and sent a voice transmission to Yu Yan. Genius remembered the address of this site in 1 second. Human mobile version reading website. Chapter 3012. Supreme Yuling had once said that she could not communicate with everyone in the battle. That was just an excuse. As the host of this year's Battle for Providence, he could communicate with anyone. However, he would have to pay a huge price. Supreme Yuling did not know what the price was. However, he knew that if he let the daughter of Holy Lord Yu die in the Battle for Providence, he would not have a good ending. Therefore, at this critical moment, he did not hesitate to remind her. Supreme Yuling? Hearing Supreme Yuling's reminder, Yu Yin, who had already decided to die together with Knight's Sorrow, stopped. He immediately stopped. It's me. Saintess, don't give up 10,000 years of cultivation because of a momentary loss. There will be plenty of opportunities to make a comeback. Supreme Yuling tried to persuade him again before she continued. The sacred leader is already on his way. He will personally kill Yi Shang after the battle for the karmic luck is over. Saintess, you should crush your identity token. Hearing this, Yu Yin said hesitantly, Yuling Warpet, what choice do you think we should make? At this moment, Yuling said excitedly, Saintess, Holy Lord is already here. Please come out. Is Father here? Hearing the news of Yu Earth Supreme's arrival, Yu Yin, who had a complicated expression, hesitated again. At this moment, Yu Earth Supreme saw clearly what was going on. He immediately asked Yuling to send a voice transmission. Tell Yu Yin to give up and come out immediately. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Yu Earth Supreme only had one daughter, and that was Yu Yin. Moreover, at his cultivation level, it was already impossible for him to have another child. How could he bear to see Yu Yin choose to self-destruct? Yes, Holy Lord. Supreme Yuling advised again when she heard this. She also expressed that this was Yu Earth Supreme's order. All right, I'll go out. Yu Yin, who was continuously advised, gradually withdrew the hostility from the battle. He took out his identity token and wanted to crush it. You want to leave just because you want to? How can it be so easy? Gentle dragon roar. At this moment, Knight's Sorrow saw that Yu Yin wanted to escape and immediately roared at him before striking out with the Supreme Reincarnation Spear. What happened? Yu Yin was instantly paralyzed by soft Dragon Kree's roar. She wanted to crush her nameplate, but there was nothing she could do. They could only look on helplessly as the identity token stopped in his hand. After absorbing the power of the 9 divine souls from the divine world, Knight's Sorrow's strength had increased tremendously. Even his attacks on divine souls had improved tremendously. The moment Yu Yin was paralyzed, his Supreme Reincarnation Spear directly shattered his Dantian. After shattering Yu Yan's Dantian, the Moon Spirit Battle Pet was the first to recover. It immediately pushed Yu Yin away and self-destructed at Knight's Sorrow. Boom! The Moon Spirit Battle Pet was at the upper celestial stage. When it self-destructed, it was still very powerful. Even if Knight's Sorrow absorbed the power of the 9 people, he would still be sent flying. Moon Spirit Battle Pet. At this moment, tears immediately streamed down Yu Yan's face after he recovered. Seeing this, Exalt Yuling roared anxiously, Holy Maiden, the son of a wealthy family would never be able to sit still and do nothing. Don't hesitate any longer. Hurry up and crush the nameplate. Okay, this time, Yu Yin did not hesitate at all. He crushed the nameplate and completely gave up on the battle for Providence. The moment he was teleported out, Yu Yin collapsed weakly on the teleportation square. Exalt Yu checked Yu Yan's injuries and heaved a sigh of relief. Yin'er, although your Dantian is shattered, you can recover quickly with a secret technique. As for today's grudge, I will avenge you. Father, Yu Yin cried uncontrollably as he was held in Exalt Yu's arms. Boom! At this moment, an extremely terrifying thundercloud suddenly rose above the square where the battle for Providence was taking place. When the thundercloud appeared, Exalt Yuling's expression changed drastically. She shouted, "Holy Lord, save me. This is the backlash from the battle for Providence. This is the price I have to pay for communicating with the Holy Maiden. Don't worry, I will protect you." Exalt Yu touched Yu Yan's forehead gently and got up to help Exalt Yu Ling block the lightning. However, at the next moment, the dense lightning completely descended. Before anyone could react, it killed Exalt Yu Ling. Yu Ling, Exalt Yu, who wanted to save Exalt Yu Ling, roared unwillingly. "My condolences. No Exalt can withstand the backlash from the battle for Providence. Even earthly sovereigns might not be able to survive." At this moment, Feng Wuji slowly walked over and said to Exalt Yu, "Yu Ling is my right-hand man. I didn't expect him to die here. I really can't accept this." Facing Feng Wuji, who came from the four great sacred grounds, Yu Yu's tone was still very gentle, even though he was in a bad mood. "Exalt Yu, I have a spiritual pill here that can heal Dantian injuries. Take it and treat Yu Yan. If you don't treat him immediately, it won't be easy for him to fully recover." Then, Feng Wuji continued, "Thank you, Exalt Yu." After receiving the spiritual pill from Feng Wuji, Exalt Yu thanked him and fed it to Yu Yan. The spiritual pill was swallowed in less than 20 breaths. Yu Yan's originally pale face recovered. She choked and said, "Father, my Dantian has recovered. Moreover, my strength is stronger than before." "Really? Then why don't you thank Exalt Yu?" Exalt Yu immediately said when he heard Yu Yan's words. "Yu Yan thanks Exalt Yu." Yu Yan bowed to Feng Wuji and then looked at the screen of the battle for Providence. He found Knight Sorrow's location and said coldly, "One day, I will kill you with my own hands. Why do you need to wait for a day? When he comes out, I will help you control him. I will let you kill him with your own hands." Exalt Yu immediately said coldly when he heard Yu Yan's words. At this moment, Feng Wuji reminded him, "If you fight here, be careful of the backlash. It was not easy for you and me to cultivate to Exalt Yu. Don't lose your life here. It's okay. It should be impossible to kill Exalt Yu with the Calamity Cloud just now." Exalt Yu said and looked at Night Sorrow. "This Night Sorrow must die. The realm of the gods cannot have another supreme longevity. From the looks of it, if he is allowed to continue growing, not to mention becoming an immortal supreme, it is entirely possible for him to surpass it." Feng Wuji looked at Night Sorrow and smiled. At this moment, Dao Wui suddenly said, "Congratulations, Exalt Yu. The Jiuxian territory has just entered the top 8. "Oh, top 8? What's there to congratulate?" Feng Wuji asked coldly when he heard this. Clan M. Chapter 3013. Wuji Earthly Supremacy. If it were any other time, there would be nothing to congratulate the Jiuxian estate for entering the top 8. Dao Wui said quickly. He then took a deep breath and continued. But it's different this time. After all, the Tian Shao estate and the Immortal estate have fought each other. Both sides have suffered great losses. No matter which side they appear, they will not be a threat to the Jiuxian estate. This means that the Jiuxian estate will at least be able to get into the top 2. The top 3 is not a problem, but the top 2 might not be. Feng Wuji said coldly. Why is that? Dao Wui asked in confusion. The top 8 of the Battle of Providence depends on the strength of the strongest person in each estate. The Jiuxian estate has a lot of people left, but they might not be able to get into the top 2. In my opinion, the realm of gods might be able to pull off an upset. What? My lord, are you saying that you think Night Sorrow from the realm of gods will win? Dao Wui asked in disbelief. This Night Sorrow's strength should be on par with the top geniuses of the 4 territories. When the battle royale starts, it won't be strange for him to get any results. Feng Wuji said, It's possible. To be honest, I have prepared some tricks for my daughter. They are all for the top 4, but they still lost to this Night Sorrow. The realm of gods has a real genius. Yu Earthly Supremacy also praised Feng Wuji, but then he said coldly, But geniuses who are too powerful will not live for long. Supreme Longevity was so arrogant back then, but he still died in our hands. In the end, it was all because of us. Supreme Longevity might not be dead. All the territories must be on guard against his return. Upon hearing Moonfeather Earthly Sovereign's words, Feng Wuji immediately reminded her. Oh, how so? Yu Earthly Supremacy was puzzled by Feng Wuji's certainty. Although everyone suspected that Supreme Longevity was not completely dead, they were only guesses. No one was as certain as Feng Wuji. A peerless genius like him won't die so easily. Feng Wuji continued, not explaining where his doubts came from. All right, Moonfeather Earth Sovereign did not say anything. After that, everyone started to watch the battles in other territories. At this point in the battle, 5 territories had already entered the top 8. They were the God World Territory, Jiu Xin Territory, Ming Yin Territory, Annihilation Territory, and Burning Sky Territory. In addition, the Heavenly Owl Territory and the Extreme Immortal Territory were still in a fierce battle. While everyone was paying attention to these territories, Night Sorrow, who had been shocked by the explosion of the Moon Spirit's battle pet, recovered and went to the Tower of Eternity that he had yet to clear. He began to fight with the Holy Spirit on the 32nd floor. While the power of sacrifice was still present, he successfully defeated it and entered the 33rd level. Outside of the 4 great holy lands, he was the first cultivator to defeat a Holy Spirit on the 32nd level. After defeating the 32nd level's Holy Spirit, a large amount of Earth Sovereign's laws immediately surged into Night Sorrow's body. After absorbing the energy, he found that his strength had increased once again. This made him feel very good. I heard that after passing through this level, you can enter the true, eternal divine tower. I wonder how difficult it is. After entering the 33rd level, Night Sorrow murmured and completely entered battle mode. However, after fighting for a while, Night Sorrow realized that something was wrong. Originally, the holy spirits of the first 32 levels were the guardian beasts of the 33rd level. They were in groups of 8, guarding a high platform in the center of the 33rd level from 4 directions. On the high platform was a sleeping Holy Spirit. After sensing the aura of this Holy Spirit, Night Sorrow was completely speechless. This was actually an Earth Sovereign level Holy Spirit. With my current strength, it's definitely very difficult to pass through the 33rd level. I'd better give up and search for the Moon Shadow Estate's Eternal Divine Tower. They probably didn't pass the 32nd level. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow left the 33rd level. Together with the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast, he searched for the Moon Shadow Estate's Eternal Divine Tower. After finding it, he also defeated the Holy Spirit on the 32nd level and absorbed its laws and essence. This time, Night Sorrow didn't let the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast absorb it because he needed to continue to become stronger to make up for the lack of means. I wonder what the competition for the top 8 is like. Do any of you know? After absorbing the laws and essence of the 22nd level, Night Sorrow asked. We're not sure either. Besides, no one in the Divine Realm territory should know. After all, no one has advanced to the top 8 before. Myriad Sword Master said with a smile. At this time, everyone in the Divine Realm territory was released by Night Sorrow to drink and celebrate together. After all, this was the first time the Divine Realm territory had advanced to the top 8 of the Battle for Providence. This had already made history. Even in the era of supreme longevity, the Divine Realm territory had never advanced to the top 8. Obtaining such results was worthy of their celebration. However, after drinking for a while, Xiao Tianxian suddenly frowned and said, "To be honest, it's definitely a good thing to obtain such results this time. But I'm worried that after everyone goes out, they'll immediately be hunted down. We don't care, but Night Sorrow is the hope of the Divine Realm's rise. If we're killed after leaving the small world." Xiao Tianxian had yet to finish when Yishang opened his mouth and said, "Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir." Now it seems that I can only try my best to improve my strength in the battle for Providence and figure out a way to protect myself. I wonder what the reward for the top few are. If the reward can let you advance to the supreme stage, that would be great. Wu Lingfei said with a frown. Among everyone present, she was definitely the most worried about Night's Sorrow. Advancing to the supreme stage should be impossible. Advancing to the half-step supreme stage should be the limit. Night's Sorrow shook his head and said, recently, the speed of his strength improvement had been quite fast. Now that he had advanced to the supreme stage in such a short time, it was very likely that it would cause the consequences of an unstable foundation. Then we can only take one step at a time. But we don't dare to do anything, as long as we have a clear conscience. At most, we'll all die together. Wu Lingfei said, yes, if anything happens, everyone will fight together. Myriad Swordmaster also said with a smile. He was the more carefree one among them. Then, everyone in the Divine Realm territory continued to drink. After drinking with them, Night's Sorrow kept everyone back into the space grotto heaven and quietly waited for the power of sacrifice to disappear. One morning a few days later, Night's Sorrow, who was meditating, suddenly felt the strength in his body being sucked out. His whole body fell to the ground. I'm not sure if the battle for the top 8 has begun, but no matter what, I have to recover my strength as soon as possible. Yi Shang informed the others and swallowed an elixir to recover his strength. However, he had just recovered 70% of his strength. Suddenly, a teleportation rune appeared under his feet. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.